Hey, listeners, our podcast is full of guests, and we need your help to rid us of them. Simply solve a few complex puzzles while jumping around with your headphones in and listen to our wonderful guest, David Arnold, help us break down Krusty's Funhouse to send him home. Welcome in to episode 6 of Lee Carvallo's Potting Challenge, a Simpsons gaming podcast that looks at all the clowns that shaped the games. I said that completely wrong. I don't know what I did there. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy.
And I'm your other host, Derek, and I need to actually head out because I've got to get some rat bites tended to, so I'll be back later.
And today we are talking about a game that only features the Simpsons family, as the box art tells us. It's Krusty's Funhouse. A really interesting game that we're going to have a lot to say about. And to help us discuss this puzzling game.
I see what you did there.
We brought on a guest. It's host of Are You My Mother, a podcast discussing mothers in media, and co-host alongside our very own Derek of Gimmicks, and co-host of the upcoming Fear Coded podcast, a podcast discussing media from the horror genre through a queer lens. It's David Arnold. Hi, David.
Hi, friends. Oh, it's so great to be here. I hope that I don't get blown up or eaten by one of you in the course of this conversation.
My God.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, have water dripped on your head lethally.
Lethal water is a big concern of mine, Derek.
The water thing is weird. The eating thing is very weird.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
There's a few things. A few things that are a little weird.
Yeah. We're happy to have you here, David.
Thank you. And it's a delight to be here. I love this podcast. When I describe it to people I'm in game school with or anyone I have conversations with, I say that this is a gaming history podcast that also is a little bit about The Simpsons. I've learned so much. It's such a great reminder of like why video games are so fun and so awesome, even though you're not talking about the top of the barrel. So it's just really cool. And I thank both of you for doing it.
Yeah, but you're saying this isn't one of the best games you've ever played in your life?
No, it's not. It's not, Derek. It was worse playing it as an adult, as we will discuss.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, speaking of, horror shows and animals being, put through giant cheese graters, you have a podcast coming out that is about horror, obviously. That is Fear Coded. Would you like to share a little bit about that podcast and how it came to be?
Yeah, it's been a really fun journey. The podcast is designed to take a single item of what I'm learning is a pretty unending sea of horror content and discuss the pretty inherently queer themes to the genre. So the origin story is that our mutual friend, Mary Lee, who's been on quite a few Glitter Josh shows, wanted to start something. So we got together for a virtual coffee and she told me about some of the things that she had envisioned. And they just happened to line up with a very similar conversation that I had with my friend Tyler. I put them together hoping that there would be such a great and positive vibe that they would go on to create a wonderful podcast. And it was happening. It was like I was watching the first flight of an airplane and I was so delighted until I realized that I was also on the airplane. And so I kind of ended up caught in the gravity of it all, even though I am a huge scaredy cat and I am way stupider than the two of these folks who are railing around like literary theory and queer ideas. So it's been so much fun because I've been learning a lot and I've been exposed to a lot more media than I had ever thought I would be exposed to. So if folks are interested in that sort of thing, but you're a little scared like me, believe me, I'm here for you and you can enjoy the podcast no matter where you fall on the spectrum.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, I think every horror podcast needs a person who is scared of everything that they talk about, honestly.
Yep. And you know what? It's nice having analysis be my like protective shield, because I can be like, oh, I'm looking at this academically. So the ghost that's jumping through the screen to murder me because I watched some videotape isn't actually there. I can at least think that that's you know, an assault on lesbianism in the 1980s, and that justifies it for me somehow.
There you go.
I'm trying to think of what movie that is, but
I made all that up. I made all that up.
It sounds legit, though.
sounds legit,
I mean,
yeah.
It sounds completely like I would not be. I'm sure you can find one that fits that framework if you looked hard, even if it was a deeper cut.
So I ask a follow-up question, because I'm in a similar boat where like I used to be super into horror, and then at some point I was like, this is not for me. Has there been anything that y'all have watched that you've just kind of been like, I don't know if I'm gonna get through this?
Yep. Yeah, especially our first episode, I did the show notes because I have a little bit more experience writing up show notes. And you all know, anytime that you sort of get a podcast ready, you have to engage with the media a lot. And our first episode coming out in July will be on the Babadook. And once really could have been enough for this film, which was very scary, psychologically scary, and also ghost scary. And so watching it like 3 times to make sure that we felt prepared was not my favorite thing, versus more recent episodes that have been sort of comedy horror. I would have been more than happy to take lead on show notes, but now those are out of my hands, and it's been really fun. The whole group is just so outstanding, and we're getting to do some pretty wild things that feel a little bit outside the box already.
Yeah, because you're not just doing horror movies, right? You're doing across all media. So that is different.
That rules.
We've already recorded a TV show, and then in a couple weeks we'll be covering a video game already.
Ooh.
Wow.
Video game. Oh, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. I'm also scared, but I'm gonna be there for the journey, for sure. Where should folks follow? Where should folks find Fear Coded? Like, people want to get ready to follow the show. Where should they go?
Yeah, so you should be able to, by the time you are listening to this episode of Lee Carvallo's Potting Challenge, find it anywhere you find your podcasts, but you can also follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at FearCodedPod.
Nice. Yeah, I'm very, very stoked for that. And like I was just getting to, you have a pretty unique gaming perspective. You are a novice independent game dev. That's pretty fair to say, right? I think that's how.
Yeah, I mean, I would have appreciated you underlining novice a couple more times, but it's there. It's there, Tommy.
So what's your game developer journey been like to this point, David? I know you mentioned video game school. Like what are you doing in the video game realm?
It's funny, when I thought about like sort of this journey, I don't want to take you all too far back on the Wayback Machine, but it kind of started a long time ago. I grew up loving the idea of telling stories through an interactive experience. I mean, I was a choose your own adventure book kid.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of guessing, based on my knowledge of both of you, that you've dabbled in that world as well.
Choose your own adventure books? Oh, hell
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But to the point that like my cousins and I got so into it that when they got a talk boy for Christmas, like, you know, rich kids do, and I had to like sit over here and just like wait, we recorded like a 12 tape series of if you want to enter the haunted house, load in tape B, and like stupid, but you know, it was sort of expressing that in a different medium, which was really exciting for us.
That's so cool. But I love that, like, because the easy route would have been like, we reading the books, we're going to write our own choose your own adventures books.
Yeah.
The fact that you immediately jumped to a completely different medium to do that in a way, which I don't know. I feel like I don't know that I've ever actually seen like audio choose your own adventure in that way with like multiple tapes. It's got to exist, but it has to have been so niche that it never broke into the mainstream. So the fact that you had that idea feels like so innovative, you know?
Yeah. Well, luckily their dad worked in plastics, so he could afford blank tapes.
Sure.
Because some of them were like, you died. And like, what a waste of a blank tape to record like a sentence.
Fair.
But the journey continued for me. So by like 6th and 7th grade, I was in computer club in middle school. I got beat up a lot. It's no big deal. Like I learned Perl, HTML, and HyperCard, and I programmed interactive stories. Calling them games would be so generous. In all of those services, HyperCard, like you might not be familiar with, but it was like a predecessor of like PowerPoint. So imagine a video game in PowerPoint. It sounds awful, and it was.
But You know what's so funny about all of this, David, is it's like you made audio like tapes and then you made power cards. I'm like, this is like all precursor podcasting stuff. I'm thinking about.
Oh no.
Oh my
Like,
God.
It makes total sense that we're talking to you right now on this podcast about your next upcoming podcast.
So once I got into Perl, I was serious because that's an actual like assembly language, and so I sent a couple games off to competition in state of Michigan. I got some really kind and patient judge comments back because what I was doing was nowhere close to where the world needed to be, and I tried to stay connected to it throughout high school, but like my life changed, the rest of the world changed. I had to come out. Coming out kind of put me at odds with the audio visual aspect at my high school, which was a really hyper masculine environment. My home life wasn't going as well. So there really was no refuge. And instead of thinking about video games as art, I really thought about video games as escape. And so it just changed the way that I looked at the medium. And I had kind of set aside this thing that I really loved and found joy in, just because that's where I was in my life. And that kind of continued as I went to college and into my career path. So fast forward 20 years later, and I was in like a real rut career wise. I just couldn't, like the pandemic really changed a lot of things, and I wasn't taking my career the places that I needed to. And so I had the serious moment of introspection of like the last thing that I did that brought me a ton of joy, and it was creating something. And I said, well, if I had the means to do it, to like leave it all behind and go to school and like relearn, because nobody codes in Perl anymore, learn a real language that people actually use, learn to use assembly tools. What would that look like? And since May of 2023, I've really changed my focus. That's why we moved out here, to give ourselves more time and financial freedom. And I've been taking game dev classes around theory, music comp, art comp, programming, sort of it all, in the effort of creating an interactive story that is the art I leave the world.
Wow.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. My God. So, I mean, that's a pretty wide spanning array, right? Is there an area that you're most interested in?
Oh, I mean, I'm most interested in programming.
Got it.
Like,
got it.
It's just Excel. Like it's just fancier Excel.
Yeah.
That feels like I'm back at work. Just making the numbers go up. No, I mean, I love programming because when I'm in C++, it is, I mean, it's like Perl. So once you learn a programming language, it's a little bit easier to pick up any other programming language. Probably some of the stuff that scares me the most is some of the fine detail around art. Making sure that I get that to look the way that I want to and to be replicated and scaled. So everything I've done so far is really wireframe. So when I build a level, I'm doing it with like shitty looking triangles, and man, I can draw a circle like nobody's fucking business, but nobody's playing a game where like a circle is hopping through a level. Or
Right.
if you're interested in playing that, I'll launch it on Steam for $3. Like no worries. But I think maybe a little bit more polish is what the world needs.
I don't know. One of my favorite games of all time. Well, it's probably in like my top 20. Thomas Was Alone. I don't know if you've ever played it, David.
Oh, just squares. Yeah.
Bunch of squares. So
There you go.
That's true.
That's true.
There's
You
precedent.
can,
People,
there's
yeah,
precedent.
people like weird, simple things. I think
true.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have my first competition coming up this October. So after
Wow.
getting a little sidetracked with some contract work, which was great for the budget, I've now given myself a solid deadline. So I have to enter something or lose this entry fee by the first weekend in October.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Do you have I know it's super early, but do you have like a outline, like a thought
Yeah.
that's
but-
going on for it?
I've been working on the same game, which is just an arcade platformer 2D. The twist is that every time you die, the level changes to make sure that you can't fail the same way twice.
Oh my God. That's so cool.
Oh, nice.
So it's experimenting with variables and how variables change what gets drawn on the environment.
I
Yeah.
love that. So does it get progressively easier, or is it more just kind of like random, like in terms of how the game changes?
Yeah, I suppose that would be how you look at success in a game. You don't need to die, so you could try to clear the game without ever dying, or you could try to die in every way imaginable, so that the course is then the easiest to do from start to finish.
I love that idea, and I can't wait to
That's
see
really
that.
cool.
Thanks. I'm calling it way to die because that is something that people say online streams when a streamer dies.
Oh
but I think
my
they are
God.
doing it mockingly.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
And so is there going to be an opportunity for maybe listeners, if they're interested in playing it once it hits the scene, to check it out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if my friends would promote it, that if anyone who's following you all or following Glitterjaw could certainly share it if there's ever a public available build.
Heck yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely
wait.
play it for sure. If
Well,
we're
it would
allowed
have to be better than some of the things you have played so far. So that the bar's low there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that it's I think it would be very hard for it not to be better. And kind of speaking to that, jumping into the game a little bit. So you, David, actually reached out when we started this podcast, and you were like, I want to talk about Krusty's Funhouse. And so I have to imagine you have some kind of history with this game, and I'm just curious, one, what is that history? And then two, have you drawn any inspiration from Krusty's Funhouse for your current projects?
Yeah, I'm somewhat embarrassed about the amount of energy I put into requesting to be on for this one, because this game is not good. But based on the number of texts that I sent, you might have been like, wow, David loves this game. It's funny because I obviously rented it and played it as a kid. I know that this was a rental from Movies because I would have only spent $1 on it. I rented it many times over the summer because once you get a password, I knew that I could start from there and I could try to learn the levels. I was a huge Lemmings kid, but Lemmings is fucking hard. And so a lot of the base material in this game draws a little bit from that. And I think that was satisfying me somehow. But I also played a lot of SimCity. So I was a weird kid. Better Games sat there collecting dust while I would play games that just weren't normally for kids my age. But I think it might be the first game that I ever played where I felt like, oh, this is a game that's designed to like introduce a concept, get you to master it, and then introduce another concept and try to help you figure out how we're using these things together and to build upon that and build upon that. So I think it's the first time that like at like 10 or 11, I like saw the Matrix and was like, oh, like this is intentional.
That's so interesting, though, because that's a criticism of pretty much every game that we've played before this.
Yes.
That it's bad about introducing concepts and basically teaching you how to play it. And this was a thing that immediately, you know, obviously we'll talk about it, but like immediately struck me when playing this. Is sort of like, oh, it is telling you what you're supposed to do, like, or at least like ramping you up.
Yep.
With concepts instead of just every level is a completely different game practically, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And so when we started our theory class, they said, pick a game that you remember from your childhood and like break down how you would make it today. And a lot of people picked like Super Mario Brothers, which I feel like is
It's like easy. It's like easy mode.
It's
so.
You don't have to draw left. You only draw right. Like it's a completely different program. But some people picked like fucking Mario Sunshine or like Mario Galaxy. And I was like, I don't want to think about
Good
like
Lord.
how gravity works. I have no interest in that. And so I picked Krusty's Super Funhouse for the SNES.
So funny.
Because I remembered it, and of course I had to play it and then write about it. And it was funny because like Krusty is center on the screen. That's a pretty standard game dev tactic during this time because it's easier to draw what's around the character, and you're always sort of drawing their background, but Krusty stays in the same position. He's got a simple animation cycle, which was easy. He's got a teeter, a jump up, jump down, run left, right, and then an idle. So it was kind of fun to like break it down on that level because it was so simple, and I had so much fun revisiting it for that, which is probably why I was more interested to come on and talk about this game.
So you were interested in it because you're like, oh my gosh, like when you're revisiting it, and then you started playing it again and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. It's funny because I have replayed the games with the podcast, especially the ones I knew well, and Tommy knows this, but like I played Escape from Camp Deadly, like I had been playing it every day of my life. It is just wired here where something more important should be in my brain, but it's there. I think that I could probably do it blindfolded, like one of those people who like challenges themselves to play video games with none of their senses, or maybe on like a DDR pad or something.
Unhinged. You played more of these games than I have, so
yeah.
You know.
Well, don't be wrong. I played one level of Bart versus the World, and I was like, no, I get it.
Yeah, that's the correct thing to do with that game. I think that's fascinating. I think too. one of the things about this game that we were just talking about, like the kind of level design and how it kind of scales, I actually do think this game, as much as we'll talk about some of our gripes with it, as much as this game has its faults, I do think it does, like you all were saying, have a very good introductory level. Like the introductory section is fantastic, I think, as in terms of like, and I'm not a game design expert. In fact, you said Krusty has a teeter animation. I think later on in the outline, I refer to it as Krusty edging, which is not the correct term.
Way better. I'm actually going to write the game dev school and say, can we replace teeter with edging, please? Thank you.
Like, that's how I just think about like that animation when you have Sonic and he's just kind of standing on the edge and doing like the whoa. They're edging.
I mean, yeah.
But I had a thought, and now I don't know where I was going with that. So I the introductory level piece, I think it is fascinating. I almost feel kind of like what you were talking about with your upcoming project is a little tied into this, right? Of like the failure and then figuring out another way to do it. Like that's not 100% in this game, but there are elements to that in this game.
Yeah, kind of. So. It really does kind of encourage you to play things over and over again and try things over and over again.
I think in a way, and not all the levels, but some of the levels, especially the pipe heavy levels, it's almost like you're playing a roguelite because the purpose is to like fuck up and figure out where these rats end up getting sent. So then you're like, okay, next time it walks towards this, I'm going to remember to block this pipe. Okay, well that fucked up too. Now I'm going to remember to block the next pipe. And so you're sort of storing in your memory the actions that you need to take so that you can execute them for one perfect run to get the rats to the end.
That's a super good insight. I was thinking about that too while I was playing. I was more frustrated by it than I usually am with roguelikes, but it's comparable. So
yeah, for sure. Before we get into more of the game stuff, because we have many things to talk about with this game. This is also a Simpsons podcast, basically half of it. Half video game, half Simpsons thing, right? So, I've done a podcast with you before. I did an episode, Are You My Mother, on an episode of The Simpsons. So, we the two of us have had conversations. But for listeners who maybe haven't heard that, what's your personal history with The Simpsons?
Yeah, so we were a pro Simpsons household. Appointment viewing for seasons like 1 through 7 or 8. We also recorded on VHS tapes. We watched reruns pretty much on and on until like 1997, which is when things just sort of like fell apart in our family altogether. And so The Simpsons kind of lost with that. Then I went to college, and so I sort of distanced from it just because I was like a serious student studying all the time, and I didn't have access to a television. So once I got my own apartment and a DVD changer, things really changed because they started to release those box sets. And that brought me sort of back into the fold. And I think before we moved, we had box sets up through season 11. It was through I Shot Mr. Burns and 2 more. So I think that got me up to 11.
Oh, that rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, and various quality on the DVDs, as anyone who knows the DVDs knows. Like, I ebbed and flowed. But I have seen a lot more recent episodes. I will occasionally put on a more recent one, really to jar myself on how the cast sounds.
Sure.
But the main reason I've seen so many episodes through, I guess, season 25 it would have been, was thanks to the 12-day marathon that they held on FXX when they got the streaming rights. Mike, God bless him, had set up the television. We had the best television in the world that would allow a picture-in-picture so I could play video games and watch FXX and get the sound from the smaller image played through the TV speakers. And I would just sit there and play Kingdoms of Almudar Reckoning and watch The Simpsons. And I took like time off work just to like veg and be my best self for 3 or 4 days.
Oh my God. I love that.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Would not have been able to tell you the name of that video game, but I knew you were going to ask. So I went back and looked at my PlayStation trophies. That's the only way I couldn't even tell you what that game's about today.
I don't think I've ever heard of that.
That's
me neither. But it's re-released. It's been like
really
HD'd. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably just one of those sides of gaming that I'm just not tapped into at all.
It must have been something I didn't need to pay attention to because obviously I was watching this.
Yeah, I mean, sure. That does kind of say a lot of what type of game it must have been.
I will say, and I just pulled up Steam and it auto-played a video, and hopefully the audio didn't come through, but the re-release of that game is Re-Reckoning.
Good for them. Good for them.
Wow.
No, I like
Okay,
that.
well,
go for
it. That's some Kingdom Hearts bullshit, and I am here for that. Good job, you.
There's some cool little enemy designs in that, but anyway, we're not here to talk about that. That's awesome. I love the. I remember the FXX like marathon when they got the rights.
Oh yeah.
And now there's just like they just have like a channel that just plays Simpsons, right? Is that
That's
still a
wild.
thing, or has that gone away?
Oh, I think that was basic. I mean, I think it was unofficial, but that's basically what FXX just for a while was just basically just the Simpsons channel. I don't know if that's still the case or not, but I'm sure none of us have cable.
No.
So, you know.
No. Now we have Disney Plus to just play to marathon, I guess.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I wonder if, I don't know. I mean, there's an easy answer for that. I think that they still play The Simpsons on FXX. I don't know if it's as much, but I'm sure that they still do.
Yeah. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned your kind of younger childhood with The Simpsons because that reminded me, we actually ran a poll on Twitter not too long ago asking the question, because on our last episode we talked about Bartmania, asking the question, who was banned from watching Simpsons as a child? That actually finished running today, and I would say I'm a little shocked that so the results were 15.8, so basically 16% of people who answered the poll were banned from watching The Simpsons, and then about 84% were not, which
I'm surprised because I feel like I always hear about people talking about being banned.
Now, we didn't get a ton of people. I mean, it wasn't a huge response to it, but still, that still seems like that still feels much more skewed towards no. It's also, I mean, it was a Twitter poll, so like people that follow us and like listen to the show probably weren't banned from watching it, but still thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, it was still, I'm glad that we got some people who said they were, because I was a little afraid everyone was just going to be like, no. And it would be like that urban legend kind of thing where it was like, oh yeah, I knew someone who couldn't watch this. But
it's definitely not though. Because if you listen to any Simpsons podcast, 75% of the guests have the same story of like, I wasn't allowed to watch it and I came to it in my later life or something like that. So it's real. It's just, it is very funny. You know, that's why there's, statistical percent of error for things. So,
Tommy, though, and I'll add to Derek's thesis. I do think this is real. I think that parents are worried about what their children become when they're exposed to The Simpsons. And for all the criticisms I have of my parents were worried that I was going to be a goody two shoes. They saw Bart and they said, go be like that. And I said, Lisa.
Oh, that's great. Would you say Lisa's your favorite Simpsons character?
Of the family, I mean, Marge is my favorite, but of the kids, I do like Lisa more than I like Bart. And I have not watched Maggie's extensive adventures on Disney Plus, but maybe one day I will get to them.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You're good.
Well, we're not actually going to be talking too much about the Simpsons family today. Instead, we're going to be talking about one Krusty the Clown. So Coulrophobia, I think that's how you pronounce it. Warning for this one.
Coulrophobia.
Coulrophobia.
Oh, is that fear of clowns? Okay, I thought you were saying color phobia. I was like, what is that? A little worried about whatever that could possibly mean. Okay, got it.
Fear of clowns, whatever the phobia is. If you have a fear of clowns, keep listening and be scared. No, I'm just kidding. Turn it off.
It's a horror podcast now.
It's a horror podcast.
Oh no!
But I thought it might be useful to give some background information about Krusty, some of which y'all might already know. But Krusty the Clown makes his first appearance in the Tracy Ullman Show short, the Krusty the Clown Show. But in The Simpsons proper, his first episode is in Bart the Genius in a photo, which I thought is funny.
That is funny.
But then the first actual appearance of the character doing stuff is the second episode, which is Homer's Odyssey. And then just some background stuff about the inspiration behind Krusty. So in an interview with Terry Gross, Matt Groening explained that the satirical conceit that he was going for at the time was that The Simpsons was about a kid who had no respect for his father, but worshipped a clown who looked exactly like his father.
I actually created him as a little on-screen character on the Tracy Ullman show for those little shorts there. And the idea of the design of him is he actually is basically originally Homer in clown garb. And the satirical conceit that I was going for at the time was that the Simpsons was about a kid who had no respect for his father but worshipped a clown who looked exactly like his father. So, but we sort of lost that. And I didn't make Krusty Jewish. That was Jay Kogan and Wally Wolodarski, I think, came up with that idea. Two of the old Simpsons writers, and then the rest is, it's just he's one of the richest characters on the show. In fact, this year we have Krusty having his bar mitzvah finally. Turns out and it's a pretty wild show.
Did y'all know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, it's all tied in with like I know you have it in the notes later, but like it's all tied in with the like Homer is secretly Krusty thing. Like they've had the connection between the two in their heads the entire time. That's why Dan Castellaneta voices him too. Like I think that the weird parallel it has always been there from conception, and I do think it makes sense for Krusty being a reflection of like show business and television and the media, and how kids like are more like 90s kids especially were like raised on TV and are like more connected to television characters than they are people in real life. So I think it all totally makes sense to me.
Yeah. It tracks for me too. I mean, the character models also just looking nearly identical, which is fun. I don't know that I'm like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. I'm glad they abandoned this. I don't think there was anything more to it. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, they actually, I was reading that they talked about, they had the concept for that idea, and then they dropped it because they said it was just too complex for like the writers to figure it out while they were also doing the show. There was actually an idea that Krusty would eventually be revealed as Homer, but like I said, that was just dropped later on because it was like it's too complex to pull off.
Yeah, it's like along the same lines of like Marge having the rabbit ears. It's just like I understand how that's like one of those weird lore ideas you have when you're conceiving of the characters, but when you're actually doing the show, it's like the show's not that complicated. Like it's not like the show's way simpler than that, and that's a better thing to pursue.
Yeah, and really, who has time for all of this extra lore when we need to force in more Citizen Kane jokes?
Truly.
That's what the people want.
I will say, funny enough, so Cass, who does not have as heavy of a background of The Simpsons as I do, I think they really have only watched it with me. I was watching an episode, which we'll talk about here in a second, and they were like, why does Krusty look exactly like Homer?
That's awesome.
So it was very funny.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just there.
It's true.
I will say there are several real life inspirations for Krusty. Are either of you familiar with these?
We were a bozo household. We were clowns, but we also when we lived in Michigan, we had access to WGN, which I believe is where bozo is from. So when my grandfather pointed the satellite dish towards the west, we could pick up WGN, and we would do that every Saturday morning to watch the Bozo show. And we would even practice with little buckets throwing ping pongs into should we ever apply for and get cast for the show. It seems insane now that we spend our time doing this. And it's really fucking hard. Ping pong balls are very bouncy.
I'm so glad you said that, David, because I don't remember how we watched Bozo when I was younger, but I definitely watched Bozo, and I fucking remember the ping pong ball challenge thing so vividly. Like, I don't have a great memory from like my early childhood, but I remember that. I remember the balls and trying to get them in, and just in my head being like, I could do that. Let me on Bozo.
You know how to roller skate, Michael? Boy, you'll have a great time at a birthday party out at the roller ring, won't you? Okay, buddy, now we're getting up to the really tough ones. Skill counts on this one for sure. Reach in, another ball. We're going for number 3. Oh, boy. That was so close. I mean, it was only like this far. But you missed it, and so we have to end, right? But, Michael, you did very well. Mitchell Johnson in Fort Dodge, Iowa, we're going to send prizes just like this to you because Michael won them all on the grand prize game. There you go, buddy. Careful now, they're heavy, so don't drop them. Good boy. Is he a great guy? Oh, look at this.
That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know the other two guys you have, but I knew Bozo too. And my understanding with Bozo is that was a case where like there were like multiple regional Bozos, like kind of like
Yes.
what you know the Homie the Clown episode like posits with Krusty, where it's like the Bozo, like we probably like David probably didn't watch the same Bozo that Tommy and I did necessarily, and you know and I don't remember, I didn't watch it regularly, but it was a thing where I watched it at my grandparents a lot because it just happened to be playing whenever I'd be there. But they were in Maryland, so it probably wasn't even like. It wasn't necessarily the Virginia Bozo, so I might not have even seen the same Bozo that you did, Tommy, necessarily. So, yeah, it's so funny.
Well, I'm trying to remember where I actually watched, but I might have watched it at my grandparents too. But I think they would have been in. I don't know. I don't know which Bozo. I don't even know like how to figure out which Bozo I got. I know which Bozo I have in here, which I'll talk about in a second. But
Sure.
Hey, everyone! It's me, Tommy from the future. And here to dunk on myself from the past for not knowing something. But as I was editing this, I realized we had the conversation about the regional Bozos, and something I did not know was that Willard Scott, the longtime Today Show meteorologist, was the Washington, D.C. area Bozo. He also at one point was Ronald McDonald for a commercial, I believe. He might have even he's credited as creating Ronald McDonald, which I never knew.
Introducing the world's newest, silliest, and hamburger-eatingest clown, Ronald McDonald. Now, where is that clown? Oh, Ronald! Hey, Ronald!
Here I am, kids. Hey, isn't watching TV fun? Especially when you got delicious McDonald's hamburgers.
Ronald, you can't be on TV and watch it at the same time. Now, come on and meet the boys and girls.
Oh, we've already met. I know we're going to be friends, too, because I like to do everything boys and girls like to do. Especially when it comes to eating those delicious McDonald's hamburgers. A magic tray here keeps me well supplied. McDonald's hamburgers, French fries, and milkshakes. Watch for me on TV. We'll have lots of fun.
He's Ronald McDonald, the hamburger happy clown. A McDonald's drive-in restaurant is his favorite place in town.
And thought that was absolutely wild. So I just wanted to cut in here. Also probably going to put in a clip here of Willard Scott talking about Bozo.
Hey, do you recognize this clown? I mean, weatherman. That's right, it's Channel 4's Willard Scott.
I was the only staff announcer that hadn't had either a heart attack or a hernia transplant. I was only 25 at the time. The rest of them were in their 40s, so they picked me to be Bozo.
All right, we have
I went to clown school in California, and I was either going to be a politician when I graduated or Bozo. And I chose the straight life. I chose Bozo. See, I can still do it. That's the Bozo laugh.
But we get into the Bozo that is from, I believe it's from David's area, but not our Bozo. But anyway, Willard Scott, Today Show personality / weatherman, was Bozo in the DC area, which is just wild. So anyway, me from the future going back to the past. I don't know. I don't know how to sign these off whenever I cut in on myself. Bye. There are a couple of other inspirations. So Bozo is one of them. And Bozo specifically was an inspiration that Dan Castellaneta, who plays Krusty, he said that there was one specific Bozo, Bob Bell, who he drew inspiration from for Krusty's voice. And I'll cut in a clip here of Bob Bell talking, and when you hear it, it's like it's legit. Like it's like you will 100% understand. Like it's like almost 1-to-1 in a way. It's wild.
From Chicago, the 17th anniversary celebration for Bozo Circus is on the air.
Today marked the 17th year of Bozo Circus. Emanating live from the WGN studios 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, the show is so popular there's a 7-year wait for audience tickets. Every kid loves Bozo, even the grown-up types. They like his sidekicks, too. Cookie the Clown, Frazier Thomas, Garfield Goose, and Tommy Fitzsimmons and his Big Top Band. Each show is a surprise. Take today's special birthday show, for instance. Chicago's Mayor Belandic was a guest. Thinking 7 years ahead, the mayor put his bid in for tickets for his unborn child.
You have a paper with you here.
Yes,
Beautiful frame.
Well, on behalf of all the citizens of the city of Chicago, we want to proclaim this a very important day, just like the 4th of July, Christmas, Mother's Day. Today is Bozo Day in the city of Chicago.
Hey, it's Bozo Day in Chicago.
Nationally known talk show host Phil Donahue also stopped by and narrowly missed getting hit in the face with a whipped cream pie. This kind of antic turns the mischievous Bozo on, but Bob Bell, the man behind the Bozo character, would never go for anything like that.
Bozo 24 hours would be a tough job for anybody. First of all, it wouldn't be me, because I'm quite the opposite of the Bozo that you see. In my private life, I'm a relatively quiet person, with, I hope, a good sense of humor, so that I'm not too terribly dull among my friends. But I don't pursue the clown life. When I leave the circus, I don't take it home. And, of course, I make no personal appearances, so I'm not really involved with it from the time I leave here on a Friday until I get back on Monday.
To the thousands of kids who watch and wait for him daily, that he be Bozo is the only important thing. Muriel Claire, News 9.
Well, Chicago's favorite clown was all smiles over the weekend.
Hey, that's me!
Hey, that's me! Bob Bell is better known as Bozo to his fans. He played the lovable clown on WGN for 23 years until he retired in 1984. As Bozo, he made kids of all ages laugh with his silly humor and funny tricks. When he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he was nothing but gracious.
So my thanks to WGN for their generosity and for their tolerance of me and having faith enough in what I had to contribute to spend the money and keep the circus on the air as long as it has been, and it will forever be. But to all of you, thank you so much, and my appreciation, and keep those laughs coming.
Highlights from the induction will air on the season premiere of the Bozo Super Sunday Show next month.
His laugh is infectious.
Yes, you've got it down pretty good, too.
Don't ask me to do it here, please.
We'll be back in just a minute.
He even has a very similar laugh to like the laugh that Dan Castellaneta does for Krusty the Clown.
Well, kids, this is where you would watch Itchy and Scratchy, except they're on the Gabbo Show now. So, here's Eastern Europe's favorite cat and mouse team, Worker and Parasite. What the hell was that?
The other thing I would say too is, and I didn't really see this anywhere specific, but like it has to be that the style of the hair has to be inspired for Krusty, because it's just like bald on top, hair sticking out to the sides. Like if you just turn it green, it's Krusty.
Yeah. It's so funny that his voice was modeled after a real guy, because I always felt like Krusty's voice is so unclown-like, except for the laugh.
Yeah.
That like it always struck me as being like, oh, that's got to be the joke, right? That like he just doesn't sound like a clown. So the idea that there was actually a real television clown that actually did have that like deep smoker's voice is so funny.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're familiar with Bob Bell. That wasn't your? You don't know if that's your bozo, David? Do you?
That was our bozo because he was the WGN one. That's where Castellaneta is from Chicago, I think. So he would have grown up with Bob Bell as the WGN bozo.
Nice.
Wow, that's so cool. You grew up with Krusty the Clown.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I have to imagine that we probably saw a much older Bell than Castellaneta did, since he was already working on The Simpsons by the time we would have been like old enough to remember bozo. But maybe not. Maybe not.
Well, and I think Bell was like also like an announcer, like a news person too. Like it was kind of wild. Like he did bozo and had like other duties at like the station as well. I thought that was kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. There are two other clowns. Well, and there's another kind of like semi-inspiration too for Krusty the Clown. So there's long been a connection between Krusty and Jerry Lewis. Groening's never really said for sure if that was a direct inspiration that he took, but it's, you know, they have so many writers and so many people have like come and gone that like it would only make sense that like how much they have a very similar background, Jerry Lewis and Krusty, that it would make sense that someone was drawing inspiration from that.
That's probably where a lot of like the Jewish background for Krusty comes from too, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. But there were two TV clowns in the Pacific Northwest, Rusty Nails.
Nope.
Which is
why?
Interested in this.
Why?
Nope.
I don't.
That's so weird.
I don't know.
From 4 to 4:30 in the afternoon, your child will get to know a fascinating make-believe family, Barrel of Nails. Jim Allen, who plays Rusty Nails, shows you his family album.
Say, gang, this is old Rusty Nails, standing here looking over my old family album. Because, you know, so many of my family friends are going to be visiting with us every day, and I'd like to have you meet a few of them. For instance, old Barn Nails, my grandpappy, 72 years of age, he's going to come to live with us for a while. An old fella from the farm, and it promises to be a lot of fun. Old Ebenezer Barn Nails. And then I'd like to have you meet some of my brothers. Here's one from the wild and woolly West. Hob Nails is his name. He's a U.S. Marshal, and he has one of the most unusual deputies, a deputy dog. And the two of them certainly promise to give us a lot of thrills and excitement every day. Yes, sirree. I'd like to also have you meet another brother of mine who will soon be coming to live with us, the Professor Adolf Dominic Del Pico Kingsnickel for Pretzel Nails. Of course, that's quite a mouthful to say, so we only call him the Professor Nails. Lots of fun and a little on the absent-minded side, too. Here's another brother of mine, claims to be high society, but if you want to know the truth, he hasn't got a dime to his name. He used to live on the third bench to the left as you entered Central Park, but now, coming to live with us, he's going to have to kind of live with us in the big barrel of nails. Then I have a distant cousin coming from the Ozarks. He's one who promised me that he'd be wearing his shoes when he comes to the Portland area. His name is Bent Nails, a distant cousin. Well, at any rate, we're in for a lot of fun with a whole barrel of nails in the hope that you can join us Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then.
So Rusty Nails was portrayed by James H. Allen and appeared on TV in Portland, which of course is where Matt Groening grew up. And J.P. Patches was portrayed by entertainer Chris Weeds, who is from Seattle. So Rusty Nails actually is not, and I have a picture of him in the outline. And of course, as we always do, we'll share the extended show notes out for people to take a look at. From what Matt has said, he's a very he was a lovely clown and not scary at all. The picture that's in here is terrifying. Like he's just terrifying.
I think that plus the name Rusty Nails is what.
Why
makes it
was
really...
that his name? Why was that his name?
Like, so Rusty is a name. You can have Rusty Nails. I get it. It's like a pun.
No, I get the joke, but like as a thing, like I don't know. I feel like the vision of Rusty Nails is a scary thing to envision.
So wild.
For
That's fair.
Children.
That's fair.
Like that's like dangerous and represents like rot and decay. You know.
But I think in a lot of ways this informs the Krusty of it all, because like Krusty is also disgusting. Like something that's crusty is not.
True.
It's not.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So it does make sense that Rusty Nails is like an inspiration, because it's kind of this weird sounding, like, why is that a clown's name? But so is like Krusty the Clown.
Well, you know, I've heard Krusty the Clown for so long, never even registers with me that Krusty is a weird name for a clown.
Well, and also this is pretty obvious, but Krusty, you put a K onto Rusty and you get Krusty. So
oh shit!
Oh my god!
Oh my god. Wow, I feel way stupider now.
It's okay. I didn't realize. It took me like way longer to realize that. There's also something about the game that we'll eventually talk about that I didn't realize, which was, we've already talked about it, which was the passwords. And yeah.
I was wondering why the fuck why the names are so random. Because I was like, don't you put your own name in the game at the start, right? Like, or something so I was like, why wouldn't they just put your name on it? But no, it's so weird. It's a weird way to communicate the passwords to the levels of your certificate of like academic excellence for completing the level. Like, that's what's being presented to me. Why would you say it's being presented to Smithers and Jebediah? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Love this so much because it is like a mechanic of the game, and it's one I really want to talk about at the end of the game too.
We'll get into that. I have lots of thoughts.
Boy.
The only other thing I was going to note too, Matt Groening actually appeared on Rusty Nail's show as a kid.
Whoa!
Yeah, and James Allen, the actor behind the paint, the clown, appeared on the Simpsons 20th anniversary special in 3D on ice. That's the full title, which was a documentary directed by Morgan Spurlock in 2010.
Another hometown icon that's resurfaced in The Simpsons is Rusty Nails.
Rusty Nails was the inspiration in a kind of vague, weird, creepy way for Krusty the Clown.
Matt was sitting in the studio audience, and he was probably around 14 years of age, and making notes. I went to him and asked what he was doing, and he said, well, I'm going to have a show of my own. And I said, great, go for it.
The difference is Krusty is Jewish and totally corrupt.
Krusty, shut your hole!
And Rusty Nails is a very, very religious Christian clown. He's really sweet and nice.
Hi, girls and boys.
Post the other clowns getting involved in fast food, nobody came to you and said, we'd love to have you be the face of our food chain?
Krusty Burger is the official meat-flavored sandwich of the 1984 Olympics.
No.
This is my apology to Rusty Nails if there's any inference that the character Krusty is anything like Rusty.
What a collection of names
I know,
and
right?
things.
Wow. But yeah.
Rest in peace. Wow. Yikes.
Yeah. The other thing too, and I think you all probably know this, there's some other just kind of like infamous background stuff with Krusty. There's a couple stories of like near Krusty spinoffs, including how Camp Krusty, which we've talked about briefly, was almost a movie that we talked about that in our Escape from Camp Deadly episode. In the commentary for Camp Deadly, Groening also mentioned that there was an idea for a Krusty live-action spin-off starring Dan Castellaneta. And do y'all know much at all about this story?
Yeah, because I brought it up in an earlier episode of our podcast.
Well, we got to talk about it now.
I neither want to imagine a world in which this happened nor think any more about it. I love Dan Castellaneta, don't get me wrong, but seeing him in Krusty gear in a live action performance would have been awful for me.
It would have been a terrible idea, but I would have loved to see how they would have tried to do it.
There's a very like surrealist element that they could have like done with it that would have been, and in fact I don't think we dived into this when we talked about it last, but I got this from an Entertainment Weekly interview in 1999, and Matt Groening was basically says he wrote a pilot script in which Krusty moves to LA and gets his own talk show. We had this running joke in the script that Krusty was living in a house on stilts and there were beavers gnawing their way through the stilts. But somebody at the network pointed out how expensive it was to hire trained beavers, and an equally prohibitive cost would be to get mechanical beavers. So I said, if we animated this, we wouldn't be having this discussion. And it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Well, how is this even like part of the plot? Like, what are we talking about right now? So
too many Butterfinger babies in that office. Someone needed a withdrawal situation.
It's just what's the movie that came out recently? The beaver movie that's like a live action cartoon. I think is it just called 10,000 Beavers?
Hold
on, let me try to.
Never
figure
heard
out.
of this.
I have not seen it, but I really want to. No, Hundreds of Beavers. It came out It came out in 2022, but I think it just had a wide release recently. It's just funny because it reminds me of that, because the whole conceit of that movie is that it's a play on like 20s and 30s slapstick comedy, like specifically like basically live action Looney Tunes with like people in beaver costumes. It looks really incredible and like a piece of art, but also like really funny. But it's just funny because it's like they were having these same thoughts, but like playing it straight, where it's like, well, we're a cartoon. We've got to have cartoon antics in live action. So we've got to have beavers in live action for our crazy cartoon show that we're doing in live action for some reason. Like, what is the advantage of doing it in live action then if you still want to play it like a cartoon? Like, I don't understand what your intention is here.
Well, what's interesting is that, I think I might have like botched the kind of setup of that quote, but they had the idea for the live action spinoff, and then they ended up kind of pivoting a little bit, and they're like, well, what if we did an animated spinoff? So they actually had the idea for both at one point. It ends up getting stalled. But I do love this kind of article. It ended with a quote from Groening where he says, he hints, I still think, quote, Krusty would be a great series, or maybe we'll just do it as an episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah. I mean, guess what? They do multiple episodes of The Simpsons that are just Krusty centric episodes. So yeah,
You know what?
Maybe.
You know what I think would work really, really well? You move Krusty to LA. You have him be like almost a washed up actor. He's fighting for parts. He falls in love with his next door neighbor / his landlord in his sexy LA apartment. He's got a weird sister that we never knew about, and she's got a son, and they're over and their antics go all the time. And nobody from The Simpsons ever comes and visits Krusty. I think that would be a great way to take this. But if you didn't like that, that is the plot of the spin-off show Joey from Friends.
David, I was waiting. I was like, I know this is something. I just am not putting my finger on what it is. And then the Joey drop, like, honestly, actually killed me.
Listen, that's what I'm here for.
I did just want to ask, because we're talking about Krusty and Krusty is in the show, do you all have a favorite Krusty moment or episode?
I think David should start, because I feel like we're probably all going to have similar answers.
Ooh. Wow. When I first thought about this, my first reaction was actually not a Krusty thing. It was Handsome Pete. Because it's the quote from the sea captain, not a quarter, dar, he'll be dancing for hours.
Dar, I've got some customers. Call me back, Ishmael. Ahoy there, minnows.
Ahoy, have you seen this man?
Dar, that's Handsome Pete. He dances for nickels. Pete, you got some customers.
No, we're looking for this man, Krusty the Clown.
Nar, nar, nar.
It's hopeless, Bart. We've searched up and down these docks, from Pier 1 to that Pier 1 by Pier 17.
Lisa, look! A signature with stars around it, just like Krusty's.
Rory B. Bellows, slip 8. Let's go.
Not a quarter. Dar, he'll be dancing for hours.
Which sits with me, but if I had to pick a Krusty thing, I guess it would be the whole bit where he has an animal trainer on, and she says that he is afraid of loud noises, and Krusty says, loud, that's the word of the day, and then buzzers and sirens go off to irritate, I believe, a Wolverine. And never, when watching that, will I not just guffaw endlessly, because it is just obscene.
I love that.
So good. Oh, it's funny that you mentioned Handsome Pete, though, because one of I had 3 episodes that came to mind. And one of the Handsome Pete comes from Bart the Fink, which is a Krusty episode.
Yeah.
That is the one where he spoiler fakes his death. And I like that one because I learned what like offshore Cayman island accounts are, and how rich people could use that for like tax evasion, or avoision, as Kent Brockman says. And that episode's really fun. I do like that one a lot. That one's always stuck with me, but I still think that, I think Homie the Clown is my favorite Krusty-centric episode. That one is just like so wall-to-wall funny.
It's so good.
Like nonstop. There's jokes every second in that episode. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got everything I was supposed to get. I'm not going to enroll in that clown college, though. That advertisement had no effect on me whatsoever.
Hey, Homer,
The section you're supposed to be monitoring is on fire.
Clowns are funny.
Mom, I think I'll have some wine.
Marge?
Yes, homie?
That's it! You people have stood in my way long enough! I'm going to clown college!
I don't think any of us expected him to say that.
I was going to say that was one of the ones that I had thought of initially, too. I picked two just in case y'all picked that one because I was like, there's a good chance one of y'all are going to have that. I think it has to be one of my favorite jokes of all time is in that episode. I'm seeing double for Krusties. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's
There- There's so many bangers in that episode. The entire opening with Homer imagining everyone as clowns and that clown song that plays throughout it. It's just so genius.
multiple memes from that episode too. You have the Homer scraping the mashed potatoes into the shape of the carnival tent, and then also the stop he's already dead meme. So
yeah, that one comes. I also love the bet in that episode with like he calls Ralph little girl, and then Ralph's like, I'm a boy, and then Homer just says, that's the spirit, never give up. I love that.
It's so
He's
good.
like a trans ally.
yeah.
I love it.
so good.
These were supposed to be stretchy pants. Stretchy.
My other one is, and we've talked about this on our last episode, but Bart Gets Famous. I think it's not a Krusty centric episode, but he's featured very heavily. That's probably one of my favorite episodes of the entire show. It has everything: the box factory field trip, Bart's lucky red hat, you'll have to speak up, I'm wearing a towel.
So good.
Damn TV, you've ruined my imagination. Just like, again, just lots of just wall to wall jokes in that one.
I love the bit where there's like the Homer goes on like a rant about poor people that like was definitely written by John Swartzwelder. It's so, because it's just like, it's such a mean rant, and the perfect reaction to it, the entire family just like stares at him for a second, and then Bart just says, so anyway, and then they just continue the conversation, completely ignoring him. It's so funny.
So good.
Think you'd be interested in a career as a box maker? Well, that'll always be the dream. But for now, I got a job in the show business. From now on, I'll be helping Krusty the Clown after school.
No, Bart, you're only 10.
I got a weekend job helping the poor, and I'm only 8.
That's not a job. It's a waste of time. What can poor people pay you? Nothing. What satisfaction you get from helping them? None. Who wants to help poor people anyway? Nobody.
So, anyway, can I, Mom? Can I take the job?
Honorable mention to Sex Cauldron. I thought they closed that place down. That's the only other thing I wrote down in my brainstorm, because it shouldn't be said by a children's entertainer, and that's what makes it work.
Every time someone spells out anything, when they try to spell out something in front of children, my mind immediately, we're talking about sex in front of the children, Sex Cauldron. I thought they shut that place down. Like, I don't know how many times that runs through my head, David. Like,
It's so
nonstop.
good. I also love the idea of a place called Sex Cauldron. Like, what a name for a facility.
Boil them up. It'll be a man soup. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh my God. I'm glad that we talked about clown episodes, because we wouldn't be laughing otherwise, right? It's all the clown. All right. Well, keeping on the track of talking about the TV show, let's talk about the nearest episode to when this released. So the nearest episode was Bart's Friend Falls in Love.
It's a tale of love that knows no bounds.
Millhouse, we're living in the age of cooties. I can't believe the risk you're running.
The Simpsons.
Wednesday at 6. Bart's best friend is in love.
What's with the skirt? I've brought friends to this treehouse before. What if I want to strut around nude?
On The Simpsons. Thursday on Fox.
No.
This was season 3, episode 23. And it features Bart and Milhouse's friendship souring after Milhouse falls in love with Samantha, a transfer student. And did either of you rewatch this one before recording?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Samantha Stanky, I think has
Stanky.
to be said.
Sorry.
How,
Yeah.
how
My apologies.
embarrassing for you.
That might be the best joke of the entire episode. So the main plot of that episode is Milhouse gets a girlfriend and Bart gets a little jealous. And then there's also a B plot where Homer tries to subliminally lose weight. And I was texting with Derek about this before the episode, and I was like, I feel like there was a little bit of like fat phobicness in that, but I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are.
I think that that's being unfair about it, because I think that this is 90s TV, and I think that it is a nice commentary on like weight loss fads of the 90s and the way that people treated that. I think that the fact that Lisa and Marge are just sort of like, Homer's just chilling and Lisa and Marge are the ones who are like, well, you really need to lose weight, and here's the thing that we're going to make you do. And it's a thing that is obviously never going to work because it's like subliminal messaging. They even show it that like the second that he stops listening to the vocabulary tapes, his vocabulary just reverts back. So like it was just another stupid fad, and like the media sort of promoting that. And I think that coupled with like all the commercials for like, you know, wildly like unhealthy food, it's like the weird like capitalism cycle of you know, getting people addicted to food and then being like, and now you're too fat, so you have to lose weight, and now you have to buy more products to lose weight. Like, even though it's just again just like some stupid fads. So like I thought that was actually really interesting. Like I think a pretty smart commentary on like the state of like how weight loss was viewed in the media at the time, and the fads that were existing in the 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's right.
I didn't love Brockman's report that triggered it, but the family B plot always has to be motivated by something they see on the TV in season 3. So it does make sense that this is how it happened. To balance it, I love rich creamery butter. So
yeah, I still say rich creamery butter all the time.
I'm buying like, you know, olive oil spread, but I get to say in my head, ooh, rich creamery butter.
We start with pure milk chocolate. Add a layer of farm fresh honey.
Oh, sweet.
Then we sprinkle on 4 kinds of sugar. And dip it in rich creamery butter.
Dad, what if I told you you could lose weight without dieting or lifting a finger?
I'd say you're a lying scumbag. Why, sweetie?
According to Eternity magazine, you can lose weight through subliminal learning. That's where an idea is subtly implanted in your head without you even knowing it.
Oh, Lisa, that's a load of rich creamery butter.
And I don't know, it's fun. I got some vibes of just how the field of health treats fat people from Brockman's report, but then nothing past that. That was my only concern.
That's true.
Subliminal tapes, I don't care. Fad diets, I don't care. Obviously, Derek's right on the money with creating an addictive culture around food, and very specifically easy to capitalize on foods like high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, yeah. And like even, I don't know, even Kent Brockman's report, it's still like, yeah, that is how the media talks about that, so, you know, like that's totally real. Like they're not, you know, like whether or not the show is endorsing it or not, I think that's part of the conversation, but like that was what it was like, you know, in 1993 to like be a fat person in America. Like that is the kind of stuff you're going to be hearing from the media and from the people around you, you know?
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
So
totally. Yeah. And I think there was definitely like I think I was just more like a little taken aback by it. There was a couple jokes that like felt a little more on like the mean spirited end, but also like, I mean, I am not naive and just realizing like it's the 90s, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I totally get that.
It's also, it's hard with Homer because he is like a food monster sometimes, and I kind of love him for it because I'm like, yeah, me too, buddy.
Same. Yeah.
Like, and I think that can cross over into territory that feels really troubling and gross sometimes, but it also is like a part of his character that he like likes to chill out and eat, and I'm like, yeah, I like that about him because I do too, you know? Yeah. I also think that regardless of any of that stuff, like at the end of the day, the core of that B plot is just the comedy of Homer learning all these big words and no one really understanding that that's what's happening either.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I would actually, like, vocabulary be damned, I would take anything for Marvin Monroe to be the recording voice of a subliminal tape, because you need to be this like calming ASMR voice, and you get Marvin Monroe. Like, I can't even do a Marvin Monroe because I think it would hurt my vocal cords.
It's so funny. Anytime Marvin Monroe pops up in an older episode, I'm like, I always forget about that guy, but he's also all over a lot of the materials in the games that we talk about. We haven't mentioned him quite as much, but like in a lot of the manuals we've done, I actually want to talk like more in depth about some of the manuals at some point, but like, because I do think they're really interesting. But like, he shows up in the last game that we talked about. He was like all over that manual, and I completely spaced on like bringing that in. But yeah, it's so funny. And I agree. I think the B plot, the idea of Homer just like his vocabulary just skyrocketing is very funny. Like, that is a very funny thing, and I think to set that up, like, you have to have the weight loss kind of piece. But
I don't mean to belittle the conversation around like the fat phobia for it, because obviously that is all over The Simpsons because of a lot of the jokes that they make in Homer as a character.
Right.
I do think that they genuinely had like intentionally more to say in that B plot. I think that for me, it kind of overrides any of like kind of the grossness of that.
Sure.
Oh, for
in
sure.
my opinion,
and
at least.
It's a blink and you miss it. Like, we are right to vocabulary town right away.
Very quickly.
While the somewhat less interesting A plot is also happening.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, just rewatching this episode, what are y'all's like takes on it? Like, solid, okay, not great.
I think it's an episode with has some good jokes in it, but otherwise, it's fine. It's like, I never found this particularly memorable, and other than the Indiana Jones like opening,
that was great. Wow, because we've been rewatching The Simpsons and we're into like season 16, 17 now. So to go back and see some like hand fucking drawn wild animation at the start of this was gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. It was interesting to see this one had a lot more cutaway gags, I think, than I initially remembered, and you don't really see quite as much. But I'm kind of on the same boat where I'm just kind of like, I feel like it's a solid episode. Like, it's fine. Not one that I would like rewatch outside of doing this.
Pamela Hayden kills it as Milhouse in this one.
Oh,
I like her performance because she gets to give him more layers than I think he'd ever had before up to that point. But that doesn't make an episode amazing. You know, and you kind of expect that from this era of The Simpsons. So
and it would never make even like a top 100 list of even things that happen on The Simpsons. But Marge considering hostage negotiation tapes and then fantasizing about Homer using them and still being so bad at it that he gets shot did make me laugh. I was very surprised at that joke because I just had forgotten about it.
That was a joke. That was like one of the jokes of the episode for me. That was great.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
All right, well.
Wait, there was a meme from this episode. It's Milhouse on the monkey bars.
Playground.
On the playground, yeah.
You're right. I forgot about that.
I don't... Sad Milhouse.
Yeah, I feel like I don't see that meme quite as much anymore, but yeah, you're right. Love it when a meme shows up.
Well, real Milhouse boys like Derek and I know where our boy lives, and he lives sadly on the playground.
I didn't realize I was a Milhouse boy. Oh no, I hate that. I don't want to know that about myself if that's the truth.
Oh my goodness. Milhouse is great. He's great. He's Milhouse.
Everything is coming up, Milhouse.
Listen. And then I will say, I see the Homer Says still on the Simpsons subreddit once a week. That is probably one of the most posted things I see.
Oh yeah, the end image.
The
That's
end
so funny.
image. Because they were like, oh no, we need to burn like 10 more seconds. Oh, just put a still up. We're fine.
Oh yeah.
Of all the words Homer uses in the episode.
Oh right. I might have honestly stopped paying attention before it got to the very end because I forgot all about that.
It's very quick.
Yeah,
it's very quick.
It's a good joke because as they go down, he forgets what words mean, just like in the episode.
Yeah.
How he forgets what things are.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But
that's really fun.
We have a video game to talk about.
We have a video game to talk about. So just to kind of tie this all up in a nice little bow in terms of characters introduced at this point in time, we're basically at the end of season 3. There's one more episode after this one. That's the finale of season 3. So I think definitively we're at like 102. I don't think there's that many characters introduced in that episode. So we will say that. And then, the game itself. So Krusty's Funhouse or Krusty's Super Fun House, depending on which system you're playing it for. As we've mentioned kind of briefly, is a puzzle platformer in the style of Lemmings, but with a flipped premise. Instead of saving creatures, your intent is to lead them to a series of devices built to kill them and rid Krusty's Funhouse of the infestation.
Hey, kid!
Funny enough, he is more concerned about the mice that infest his funhouse than the freaking snakes and flying birds and aliens.
Yeah.
And lasers. A lot of lasers in a place made for children, Krusty.
I don't.
I think it's probably going to come up when we talk about production, but like when I learn how this game was made, I'm like, yeah, totally makes sense to me because none of it really makes any sense. But I will save that.
Yeah. So the publishers for this were Acclaim and Virgin, with Acclaim publishing the console versions and then Virgin publishing the home computer. It was released on nearly everything. SNES in June 1992, NES in September of 1992. So I thought that was interesting. The SNES version comes before the NES version. Don't know how or why that happened, but it is what it is. Game Boy was January 1993. Sega Master System was in 92. Game Gear, May of 1992. Genesis, May of 1992. And then Amiga and DOS, I didn't have dates for either of those. So originally, I think it first officially releases on Sega before SNES. And then, like I said, it's SNES right after that, and then NES in September. I don't know why that would happen. It doesn't make any sense to me. But
I don't know.
David, I'm curious, when you played this, like originally, what console did you play this on? Do you remember?
Yeah, I have only ever played this on the Nintendo Entertainment System. My cousins who had a Game Gear did have this game for the Game Gear, but the Game Gear was really exclusively a columns machine. We only ever played the game Columns on it, which was like a weird Tetris-like game.
Interesting.
Huh. Okay.
I'm not super familiar with Columns, but I can kind of like envision it, but
yeah, I don't know a better way to describe it. It's kind of like you're playing Candy Crush and Tetris at the same time.
Gotcha. Nice. So I think, Derek, did you end up playing, or did you watch the a long play of it?
SNES, yeah.
SNES, yeah.
Yes.
So that's the version, and when I say SNES, it's emulated, of course. Retro Gamer goes into the difference between a lot of them. They basically, and I'm going to reference this Retro Gamer article a little bit later on, but it's a phenomenal article. I actually bought the magazine just to have this article because it was
cool.
It was super. I mean, it was a super deep dive into it, and I really liked it. But they go into the difference between all of the versions. The SNES has brighter colors versus a Mega Drive, but it sounds like in terms of their review, they both are kind of like the definitive version of the game. They mentioned that the Game Gear and Master Systems had, quote, floatier controls, and that the Game Gear version was the most frustrating of all the conversions to play. And my question is, how much more floaty can the controls get? Because the SNES controls feel pretty floaty to me even still. Like, I just don't know.
Can you define what you mean by floaty in this context, I guess?
I don't
quite understand what they're referring to, personally.
I think it's more just like, I mean, and I'm honestly just taking a guess at it myself, but I think it's more just like how Krusty controls, like in the air, and then when he lands and stuff like that.
Like maybe the physics of how fast like you move when you're jumping around and stuff like that. I think I kind of get that. Okay.
I don't know, David, do you have a stronger definition of floaty controls?
Yeah. So, So like when you push the jump key, whatever it is on your game, essentially what you're doing is saying add height to my character. And if that's not depressed, the character should fall until he hits a platform, whatever you've decided is a base level.
Mm-hmm.
The floaty controls would be about how much you navigate when you're in the air.
Okay.
Is like
sure.
It's like an unnatural thing to do, but we expect video game characters to do it in 2D environments.
Yeah.
Like when you jump, it's not like you're midair and you can kind of move to the left or the right. And so some games will compensate that by introducing a gravity mechanic. If you're not touching the ground, sink a little bit faster, and that actually makes you feel more grounded. So Mario lands a little bit more quickly than he goes up, and so it doesn't feel so... floaty, I guess, is the word for it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Or even, like in some games, like Luigi, his special ability is usually that he can kind of float in the air a little bit longer before he lands. Like that totally makes sense. And Krusty, like it seems like maybe he should be landing faster than he does. It seems like.
Yeah. Which for some of the later platforming makes your precision much more challenging because the game is then designed for you to go much further than we maybe think the character should go, and so then you overshoot a target and then you've got to walk backwards, which is like half of the fucking gameplay is correcting a mistake you made.
Yep.
Sure.
Half is generous.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I guess that's just kind of why I'm like, I did fire up the Sega version just to kind of get a sense, or the Master System version just to get a sense of it. I couldn't really tell that much of a difference, although I could, well, let me put it this way. I couldn't describe to you like the difference, but I could tell there was like a slight difference, but it wasn't like super duper noticeable. So I think if you're going to play either one of these, play either the SNES or the Sega Master Drive, Mega Drive version. They did call out the how the Game Boy and the NES version seemed like not super great, but they were very impressed with how they could get it to work on the Game Boy, which I am too, and I kind of actually want to check that out. I cannot imagine this game on Game Boy. Like it seems
miserable.
Huge.
Because
it looks
the blocks
terrible.
would be so tiny on Game Boy. Like how would you be able to? I don't know. That seems hard.
I think I have a worse scenario for you, Derek, which is that the blocks are not tinier. Your screen size is just smaller.
Yeah.
Which means that it was an unoptimized Game Boy game.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
They did. It is interesting. They did change the HUD throughout like all of the different versions. So you have a different HUD. Well, they changed it a little bit between versions. Anyway, speaking of changes, I do want to get into the development of this because the development of Krusty's Fun House is a fascinating one. And again, shout out Retro Gamer Magazine and writer Adam Barnes for having just this entire story on the development of the game. It's in issue 186 from January 1st, 2018. It's a good chunk of what we're going to talk about here comes from that. So anybody who's interested in kind of reading that, go pick that up. I think it's worth the read. First of all, this game had one programmer, Douglas Hare. So Douglas worked for Virgin Interactive from 1994 through 1997, and then goes on to co-found, quote, The Collective, a game developer that makes a number of tie-in games, including games for The Da Vinci Code, The X-Files, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some of those were really big too. Like you know, even for being tie-in games, that's wild.
The Revenge of the Sith game, people usually speak pretty fondly of, I believe, if that's the one, the right one I'm thinking of.
I think I'm assuming that's the one that has like the alternate endings and stuff.
I think so. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then also I had to put in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer and the X-Files in there for y'all. Just because I thought that was awesome.
Listen, one of my fondest video game memories was playing Buffy on the Xbox, and I was with a group of friends. Maybe alcohol had been consumed. A vampire came up from behind us, drained Buffy in like one hit, and we screamed like it was the scariest thing we had ever seen.
Oh my God. Just going to pitch it. Gimmicks, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the video game.
No, I can't. Too much trauma. I'll play Chaos Bleeds, but I will not play the original Xbox again.
Anyway, that company, The Collective, is eventually absorbed by another company, and then it ends up renamed to Double Helix, and then gets bought up by Amazon.
Wow, it's the story of every industry, especially video game industries now.
The way the world goes. It's
Love
just
that.
the way it goes. Anyway, before all of that, Doug Hare was a freelance game programmer in the UK for about 8 years. It's during his time as a freelancer that he ends up working with Audiogenic, the developer for this game. And I should note, Audiogenic is a studio that we haven't really talked about at all up to this point, I don't believe, because Acclaim is working pretty solely with Imagineering on a lot of the development of these games, with the exception of the ones that Konami worked on, right? So it's basically Acclaim and Imagineering to work on most of the stuff that Acclaim is putting out, as they own the license for the Simpsons games. But as we know, because they're developing so many of these damn games, Imagineering puts out Space Mutants, Camp Deadly versus the World in 1991, and then they're in their process of making 2 other games in 1992. Jeez. So 5 games over the span of 5 years.
I would argue too many.
Acclaim, of course, instead of being like, we probably need less games, they're like, let's get another company to make a different game.
Jesus Christ. Like, are they selling that? Like, do they sell that well to like justify pumping out this like garbage? It's so stupid.
Well, I truly believe with the price of video games and the like surge of Bartmania, as you all talked about last month, like if you can buy a full page ad, which is what all these fuckers were doing, how many games can you cram onto that ad to make the most bang for your buck? This is exactly the sort of thing that a spreadsheet obsessed, denizen of an MBA would say in a board meeting, like, wow, if we can develop 3 more Simpsons games, the ROI on our full page ad in EGM is going to triple. And like throwing up in my mouth saying that, but that's what I think happened here. Is they were just trying to like bang for your buck. It was almost creating another bubble in the video game industry based on how advertisement was going and how sales were expected to just constantly go up.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm glad you mentioned that, David, too, because we actually haven't talked about the marketing for a lot of these games, but it is that kind of scenario where it's like shove as many of like these games and as many different like systems and as many different places you can find them into like one full page ad, or even like there were a couple television commercials that I pulled in audio for some of these episodes where it's like Bartmania, like it's like Bart versus the World on the NES, or you can get Bart Escapes from Camp Deadly on the Game Boy, or you can get Bart like on it's and like so that is what they're doing. It's like this like shotgun like approach of just like as many as you can to like bolster the sales, and this game is a little bit cheaper to make for a very special reason. So like I said, Acclaim ends up working with Audiogenic to get the game out faster. Audiogenic was a UK based developer and publisher that actually began as a record studio, which was wild for me to learn. The Vibrators and Van Morrison are probably the 2 biggest acts that recorded with them, but eventually they shift into video games. Sorry, that just like completely threw me off as I was going into that. I was just like,
yeah.
I was like, why do I have the Vibrators there? Right, they're a band. Very funny. But yeah,
speaking of crusty edging, we got to have the Vibrators.
Speaking of crusty edging, we got some other stuff later on that's questionable from the manual as well. But yeah, I just thought that was really fascinating. They work with these kind of fairly major artists, and their story outside of that is interesting too, because they were contracted in 1979 to copy computer software onto cassettes using a Commodore, I forget the actual system, but it was so cool. Have you ever heard, I don't know anything about like data, that sort of data stuff, but have you ever heard of like copying computer software onto cassette tapes, David?
Oh, I mean, sure, because you can store digital data on cassette tapes. In fact, I mean, that's what my stepfather did when he programmed for Storage Tech. He was programming a machine to pull cassettes to store data for a company, and then the machine would like put the tape in or pull the tape out. Kind of like the film Hackers. That is how data used to be accessed.
I had no idea. That's fascinating. But anyway, to get us back on track, the first video game that they produced was Graham Gooch's Test Critic. They made a couple of other the first video game that they produced was Graham Gooch's Test Cricket, and then they went back.
Awful name. It's horrible.
Terrible.
Name. The worst name I've ever heard.
Very bad.
Game.
I don't know
so
who Graham
bad.
Gooch is. I'm guessing a cricket player. Has to be.
Yes, sort of think about like Tony Hawk or Madden.
Yeah,
but for UK.
Well,
cricket.
guess who has a much cooler name than Graham Gooch? That would be Tony Hawk and John Madden.
Well, I'm not British. I don't know.
Get his ass, Derek.
Get better names, British people. Yeah. Jesus, this is why we left your country.
Get Graham Gooch. I don't even. person might not be alive anymore. I have no idea who that is. Anyway,
and why is it test cricket? Why isn't it just Graham Gooch's cricket or something like the test thing? That's just too many consonants, and they all whatever. Go ahead, move on. It sucks.
They basically just make a bunch of like sports games. But back to that interview with Retro Gamer, I know it sounds like you both might be familiar with this story at this point, but this is where Doug Hare notes that Audiogenic had originally a different game titled Rat Trap that was designed for the Atari ST and the Amiga, and eventually that idea ends up being what they use to make Krusty's Funhouse. So Rat Trap, nearly identical game by all accounts, same puzzles, same objectives. It's just Simpsons branding and a few color changes that like basically get swapped out that they actually slap in there.
That makes so much sense. Like when you know that, everything in this game clicks into place, because it's like the game is just not like it's so. I was just thinking about it because it's sort of like, we've obviously talked about Simpsons games that we've played where it's like, is this Simpsons-y or not? It feels like these elements are just random, right? But at the very least, it's sort of like, I can see how this started with Bart Simpson, and then they started to add in Space Mutants, and they give him like a burp gun or whatever the fuck. Like, I see that. This one, it's sort of like, there's nothing about this where it seems like you started with The Simpsons. It feels like you plugged in Simpsons stuff into something that already existed, and that is exactly what they did. Like, everything makes so much sense when you say that.
Well, and Derek, I don't know if you looked up, there is a gameplay video of the Amiga Rat Trap. And like to me, the sprite looks better of the main character. I think the enemy sprites look better. In fact, they would go on to use both the main character and enemy sprites in other games that Alex and, Fox Williams and Patrick Scott would then go on to work on, who were sort of the developers behind Rat Trap. And it's wild thinking about, like, I mean, to pull another Krusty quote, like, they pulled up to my house with a dump truck full of money. I'm not made of stone. Like, if The Simpsons wants to buy your game and slap their character on it and play different music, who are you to stand in the way if they're going to give you a lot of cash?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I have a hot take, it might be, it kind of is like, if you're going to do, rushed like tie-in video games to a major franchise and you're going to pump out anyway, I would rather you just reskin a pre-existing game with those characters than try to like crunch out a shitty, bad mechanical game that doesn't work because you rushed it out. Like, I feel like this game is better than Bart versus the Space Mutants is,
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I think it's only because it's reskinned to something else. Like, if it's all, I would rather just get a good game, but like, if it's all going to be a fucking rush job, this is the much better way to do a rush job when the whole reason you're doing it is just to cash in on existing like recognizable elements and characters for a franchise,
Totally fair. I agree with that. And I do want to note, like, so not to like be pejorative about the work that the programmer, like the folks who worked on this game did, they did do work to like translate it into a Simpsons game. So like, it wasn't just, I said it was just like the sprites and stuff they changed. It's a little more than that. They did, they were able to, they changed Krusty from like throwing rocks to throwing pies, which makes sense.
Sure.
They also put Simpsons characters on the rat killing machines. Also, I realized I was calling them mice the whole time, and it's literally Rat Trap is the name of it.
I think they're called rats at certain or I think they're called mice at certain points in the game.
Either
like
way.
they interchange them. So
yeah. But they also, I thought this was interesting. One of the things that in that interview, Douglas Hare talks about was that they had a little more time to perfect movements and stuff like that in the game, because they were able to do the other work like pretty quickly. So they did improve on like some gameplay functionality and stuff like that in this game during that period of time that they were getting it to kind of ship out and go to shelves. But and the other thing I'll note too is there's this like really strange, because David, you and I were talking about this of like, because I was like, did you ever play it? It doesn't sound like it was ever Rat Trap was ever really released, but in that interview, Doug Hare said that it was released and didn't perform well. Like it didn't do well. And so that's why they decided to use it for this Simpsons game. But conversely, YouTuber Honest Tom 23, who we actually mentioned on our last episode, actually interviewed producer Gary Scheinwald, and it sounds as though Audiogenic actually pitched the game to Acclaim after showcasing it at CES, and Acclaim decided to buy it under the premise that they would then reskin it to be a Bart-centric game. And then Gary also mentioned that he noted that it was Fox and the Simpsons team who wanted it to star Krusty because they wanted to push out more of their characters. So whether it was released or not, I don't know what the actual truth is of it. But
But I guess either way, it was definitely like a version of a completed game. Basically, is what they were starting from, no matter what.
Yeah.
From the playtest I was able to view, and I could not. I mean, I searched the darkest webs that I felt comfortable navigating. I couldn't find a playable build of this at all. So maybe it was released to like a local market at like a swap, but it doesn't seem to have been distributed long enough for anyone to have captured it. But the video does show it's unfinished. Like there's not audio in all of the levels. Some of the character actions don't result in the sounds that we'll later see. Like everyone has the same jump noise, which that's a little weird. I will say that the sound that does come out, and I texted Tommy this because I was like, I can't figure out what this is, but I am 100% certain. Well, I'm 90% certain that it is a bit tune or a chiptune version of "In the Hall of the Mountain King." You know, do 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 do, and it slaps. It is a great song for mice that are like attacking your house.
I think it makes total sense. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. And the other thing too, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but this isn't the first time that like a game like gets reskinned for release. This happens quite frequently. A lot of the times when games are shipped from Eastern markets to Western markets, they will make them into more characters that we know. So like the most famous example of that is Super Mario Brothers 2. That was originally released as Doki Doki Panic in Japan. When it came to the US, Nintendo decided to reskin it to feature Mario characters because the lost levels or the actual Mario 2 was too difficult for us. And yeah, so they did that, and that's actually remained like a pretty staple. That brings a lot of stuff to the Mario franchise, so it's a good thing they did that.
See, and that's why whenever this gets brought up as an example of this, I always think about Doki Doki Panic as sort of being this aberration of this, because now Peach has always been able to float. Like that's just her thing.
Yep.
That's like her deal. And Luigi always has this sort of floaty extra jump. It's like integrated into their characters. One of the like more recent prime examples of this to me is when you can like so blatantly see that a character isn't being used for what they're used for. It's just their IP. And to me, that is the Wii game Kirby's Epic Yarn. Like the only thing you know about Kirby is he eats people and takes their powers. And instead you're made of yarn and you don't do anything but play with this other character who's very well developed, whose game it was before Kirby showed up.
Interesting.
Huh.
I didn't even know about that one. That's wild. I know
but it happens all the time. I mean, this is very normal.
I was going to say, I know that there's another Kirby game that like this is done to an earlier Kirby game. And then there's one that I wanted to call out. There's a game called Chex Quest, which is a video game about the cereal Chex.
Love it.
That was just a reskin of Doom.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
volcano exploded on planet Bezoik, launching particles of rock into space. One of these asteroids was captured by the squadron and brought to our labs.
We were investigating these globules as proof of cellular life on other planets when we discovered that they actually contain eggs to an evil cereal-eating creature from another dimension. We call them flemoids. When flemoid eggs are exposed to nutritional substances, the eggs hatch.
Preposterous! We have a nutritional development center in the caverns of Bezoik. They're growing fruit and vegetables, and they haven't had any trouble.
General, 2 days ago we lost contact with Bezoik. We can only assume the flemoids have taken over.
To make matters worse, we have found that conventional weapons seem to have no effect on flemoids.
We need a volunteer to fly to the caverns of Bezoik and attempt a rescue of our citizens there.
That's ridiculous. What soldier would be fool enough to enter a cavern full of unstoppable flemoids from another dimension?
By recalibrating the phase frequency of our Zorchers to match that of our transporters, we can send the flemoids back to their own dimension.
We need a volunteer.
I'm from Czech Squadron, and I volunteer.
That's actually like the funniest thing they could have done for a Czech serial game.
Although I am pitching a Dune-based Chex parody, like find the spice, make your Chex mix to your family this winter.
Chex is already so dry; it just makes sense.
Oh my God, see,
it's like the desert of Arrakis. I hope I got that right. I started reading Dune and then I fell off. Graphics credited Richard Boston and Patrick Fox. Patrick received based on a concept by credit because he worked on Rat Trap, and then I think Richard Boston did some of the work, like helping to reskin and doing some of that kind of like graphic work there. I can't find any other video game credits for Richard Boston, so apologies. I don't know what else he worked on, but Patrick has credits on games like Wolverine, Adamantium Rage for art and graphics, Robots with a Z, and has a game design credit on Bubble and Squeak for the Amiga, which, David, you were talking about how they used the character designs later on. I have a screenshot here. I think this might be where they used the main character from Rat Trap for, because it looks just freaking like him.
Yeah. There's also an enemy that was present in Rat Trap is also present in this game. It's a floating elephant. We get a different version for Krusty's Funhouse, but it is like key on key identical. Even the platforms are designed the same. I did play a little bit of Bubble and Squeak. It's a lot. It's a like very difficult platformer, so I didn't play a lot. So it just
I know very little about it other than the main character, I believe, who is Bubble, looks just like the kid from Rat Trap. Like same outfit, same shoes.
And Squeak looks a little suspiciously like Sonic to me.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like Wish.com Sonic. So
that's 100%. As far as the music, so New Romantic Productions is credited as the music for this. They're probably best known for composing Kid Chameleon for Sega.
Nice.
And then for music, Big Mouth Studios for other console versions. I couldn't find anything about them from their page on Video Game Music Preservation Foundation, but it does say barely anything is known about them. So,
oh, jeez.
There you go.
I will say Video Game Music Preservation Foundation does use that term a lot, and it's always like a knife right in the heart.
It's so
we don't know much
sad.
about them.
It's like I don't know. David Whitaker is credited for sound programming, and I did want to mention David Whitaker is credited on over 200 games from 1983 to 1996, and that's just like freaking wild to me.
Yeah,
so many games.
He's worked on games like Rampage, Star Wars, the Fright Night tie-in video game for the Amiga, which I didn't know existed, Garfield's Big Fat Hairy Deal, and Lemmings 2, as well as Treasure Island.
Lemmings Connection makes sense.
Yeah, some bangers there. David Lowe did the MS-DOS sound programming, credits on Street Fighter 2, ports for the Amiga, CPC, and DOS, Final Fight ports for the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64, and then Ghostbuster port for the Amiga and Altered Beast ports as well.
Nice.
Just as an aside, a lot of the people that we've talked about, or a lot of the games we've talked about, have tie-in connections to Ghostbusters, and I just think that's wild. But it makes sense. I think it probably was. I think it's the same studio that has worked on Acclaim, or maybe Acclaim was the one who published it, I should say. Level design, we have Patrick Fox and Scott Williams. Already talked about Patrick. Scott Williams has credits on a number of different games, including Bubble and Squeak, which we just talked about, and Taitao Legends, and a Law and Order Dead on the Money game, which there's so many I'm learning there's so many tie-in games that I've never freaking heard of.
Yeah, because there's no way that that's good. There's no way. There is no way that that's any good.
I don't know.
I mean, I think like you could just do a podcast just on tie-in video games
for sure.
in general, and it would go on forever,
Infinite. And then finally, for production, Gary Scheinwald is listed as the producer. Very prolific producer who's worked on a ton of tie-in video games, including Enter the Matrix, an ER tie-in video game. Talk about a strange tie-in video game.
Wow.
And Superman Returns.
Jerry plays a huge role in the ER video game. I have played it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
What even, like, how are they doing? How?
It was like an interactive fiction more than a game. It actually gave me.
I see.
It really gave me X-Files video game vibes, Derek,
Okay.
if you ever messed with that. Like, you really are it's a linear adventure game. But, like, Jerry is there at the front desk, and he talks to you every time you accomplish something.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
So fun. Wow.
I did also want to note Gary Scheinwald also worked on, has some design credits, has design credits on T2, Judgment Day for the Genesis, the Last Action Hero tie-in game, and Spider-Man 3, Invasion of the Spider Slayers for the Game Boy. So I always got to mention Spider-Man whenever it comes up.
Yeah,
Those games are fun.
Interesting selection of things.
Mm-hmm. As far as the reception and sales, this game actually has most reviews are fairly positive, mid to positive, I would say. It was nominated for a Nintendo Power Award in 1992 for Best Overall NES Game, specifically the NES version, not the SNES version. It was up against Darkwing Duck, Dragon Warrior 4, The Empire Strikes Back, Mega Man 4, Spider-Man Return of the Sinister Six, and TMNT 3, The Manhattan Project. Do y'all want to guess which one of those won? I can give you the list again if you want them.
I mean,
Dragon Warrior.
Dragon Warrior was really big, but it was Nintendo Power really. I guess Dragon Warrior was our version, right? Because Dragon Quest was the Japanese.
Oh, you're right.
only.
Yeah. I see. Yeah.
And Dragon
I see what you're saying,
Warrior was ours.
Yeah, those were pretty big.
Mega Man 4 introduced the Mega Buster though, so that was a pretty big deal.
Oh. Is it Mega Man 4?
It was Mega Man 4. Yeah.
Okay.
So this game was also nominated for Best Graphics and Best Sound. Krusty's Funhouse was, and Mega Man 4 won all three of those categories. So
I can see that. This game looks really pretty and it sounds okay.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
Yeah, but you don't stand a chance against Pharaoh Man, the most famous of the robot bosses from Mega Man 4.
Sure.
Are you a big Mega Man gamer, David?
I played a lot of Mega Man. I think 4 probably was my last go on the NES. I think that was probably as far as I went.
That is a classic game series that I never got into, but I've always wanted to. So I want to try to play those at some point.
I played the original Mega Man on a computer forever ago, but I didn't really play any of the sequels and never really got into it. And I remember the only other time I dipped into it was like on PlayStation 1. There was a game with like Zero in it, whoever the fuck that guy is, and I was like, I don't know what's happening anymore.
Wow,
so.
you launched that, and then there was a 20-minute CG or like anime intro, and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, it's like I just remembered the little blue guy that shot a cannon at some robots when one was like a scissors guy. Like, what is this? So yeah, I'm very not in the Mega Man realm at all.
Cut man. If society has gotten so lazy that we can't cut things, robots should take us over.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. Real quick, I will note, so like it wasn't nominated for the any awards for the SNES version, but the game of the year for SNES that year was actually Street Fighter II: The World Warrior, which makes sense, but it was actually up against The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which is like
Jesus,
wild. Let that one, but
yeah,
I guess.
And isn't the Turtles in Time game, that one's supposed to be pretty good too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
like Turtles in Time is great. And also it's funny that there was a TNMT3 was out for the Nintendo that year for Nintendo Power Awards, and then TNMT4 was for SNES. So
that's so funny. That's so funny.
Games early like 90s like game stuff is just so wild. Whenever you come across stuff like that, it's like what is going on? I don't understand anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, as for Krusty, like I said, the game still remains pretty well received even today. The early reviews, I think, were still middle to positive, and a lot of retro reviewers rank this highly in terms of Simpsons games. It's actually also been ranked as high as a top 100 game for the SNES by certain outlets. So I think people still just really like it. Like, I think people enjoy it. I will say, mentioning that YouTuber HonestTom23 again, he talks about how, and I agree with this, he calls it a fun little puzzle platformer that's as odd and mediocre as it is charming and entertaining, which is like...
I think that's a good summary of it.
I think it is. I agree with that. But that's pretty much the background stuff. Now we can actually dive into the game itself.
It's the Golden Joystick Award! The most unsportsmanlike conduct on Game Boy. Bart versus the Juggernaut! The best superhero performance on NES. Bartman meets Radioactive Man! The best performance on SNES. Oops!
Bart's Nightmare! I don't believe it!
Why, you little...
Look for a winning Simpsons video game for every system.
Don't forget Krusty's Funhouse.
Look at my touch, man. It's running.
Oh.
Rats are invading Krusty's Funhouse on NES, SNES, and Genesis. Lead the varmints into traps and crusterize the little stinkers with help from Trapmaster Bart.
Here's my thing: is I will just say right off the bat, I've never been very good at puzzle games like this. Like, my brain isn't just wired that way. I think it's the kind of thing where if I was a kid, I might have put a lot of hours into it and would have enjoyed the challenge, but never would have gotten very far. And as an adult, I'm like, do not have the patience for this and would not be able to get it done. So I have a really hard time judging this game for what it is, because it was never going to be really one for me anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious what you all think of the puzzles. I'm just like, yeah, they're hard, and I would have never figured them out. So, and I watched a long play of it, and I'm like, I don't know how this guy's figuring it out. Sure, okay. And fell asleep during it at one point because it was a 3-hour long play. So, you know,
it is a long game. This is a long game. This is probably, it's definitely the longest one we've played so far.
It doesn't need to be a long game, but it is designed to be a long game. Not just if you make errors, but even solutions to the puzzles require the player to take their character, Krusty, on a very long journey to collect one bottle and then walk all the way back, collect a rat, and then go back to the bottle room and again and again and again.
So just to set the stage for anyone who hasn't played the game, the mechanics of the game are very simple, but elements get added as you progress. You can essentially jump, pick up blocks, place blocks, break crates. I will note that the crates are referred to as magic blocks in the manual.
Okay.
Sure. And they also contain power-ups that give you health, power-ups mostly that give you health, and then extra lives. You can also pick up pipe pieces. So we mentioned pipes. There's lots of pipes that kind of run throughout this game that the rats can enter. And you can like change the flow of the pipes, as well as some blowers that go in like different direction that will blow the mice in different ways.
It's funny when that happens. I like seeing the mice just like shoot around the screen.
It's so great.
That's funny.
And they're just twirling.
Yeah.
I love it. I also want to call out, and I have a screenshot of this. There's a mechanic, if you soft lock yourself, which can happen, called Last Resort. And when you do, Krusty just dies. Like, you lose a life and you go back to the start of the game. And one, I hate that mechanic because it's so frustrating, and if you lose all your lives, you game over. But I do think it's funny that when he dies, he literally does the "guess I'll die" meme. Like he just shrugs.
Is so funny.
He just shrugs.
Wow.
Yeah. What overall? What were your thoughts in terms of like being able to soft lock yourself in this game? Like,
yeah. So it only happened to me a couple times in my playthrough. One time a rat got to a place that was in like unretrievable, either by design or by my own incompetence by trying to design their path towards the exit being their death. And then one time I, as Krusty, got stuck someplace that I could not escape. Even though I had eliminated all the rats, Krusty must make his way back to the door of the level to complete and lock the level.
It's so many wooden doors in this game.
Uh-huh.
Why are there so many wooden doors? Nightmares about those things.
I don't know. So I actually have a screenshot from the manual in here. I was going to ask you to read it, Derek, but I'm also happy to. It's just like the plot of the game itself. But
yeah, it's funny they describe the plot, and then when you start the game, there's like a screen with a giant wall of text too. So this game really wants to make you read.
Yep.
Yeah, the manual says, "Ay caramba, Bart's superhero, Krusty the Clown, is in really bad trouble. Rats have invaded his funhouse. Is it Sayonara Krusty Land? No way, man. Bart and Homer stand armed with the coolest rat traps ever. Ever see a rat zapped with 20,000 volts or burst like a balloon? Ugh, disgusting.
Yeah.
Warning, kids, do not try this at home. We don't advocate cruelty to real animals, only their cartoon equivalents."
Yeah. So that's the plot, and then it goes on to talk about like, you know, what you're supposed to do, right? Of like connecting pipes to get. I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum at this point of like the goal is like these mice are walking throughout the whole stage and you have to make a path for them to get to where they need to go. There's no way we're going to talk about every single level in this game. It's impossible because there's tons of them and I don't even know how.
And they're
you
all a
would
bunch
do
of
that.
puzzles.
It's just
like
puzzles.
What do you even talk about? Yeah.
But there are 5 sections with up to 14 levels each. Some of the levels are hidden. You have to find a special block in certain levels to unlock them. And then, like you said, there's a lot of wood. Each level is behind a different door in the house. And you just kind of have this kind of like hub world. What were your thoughts of there being like a hub world connecting to each of these puzzles and kind of being non-linear in some ways? Like you don't have to do every level one by one.
Yeah, I was probably the first game in which I experienced a hub and then a sub hub.
Yeah.
Because you go from the main house level, which takes you through to like level 1-1, and then you can go to the first door, the second door, the third door in any order that you want, but you must complete them all before all of level 1 will close and open you on to level 2. So that was, I mean, it was interesting. It's a neat way to present challenges. You're obviously meant to go linearly by the design of the game, because otherwise, if you start at the last door, you're like, I don't know what the fuck to do with any of these blocks. The game hasn't taught me any of this shit yet. And because there are those hidden blocks that open up special things or make a floor appear so that you can actually go into doors, you do need to play the game one direction or you're going to miss something and be very frustrated.
I agree. Yeah, it's designed, it's one of the games where it's like you don't have an explicit tutorial, but you do learn as you progress, like what you can do, right? And so it does make sense that you probably should start from one level to the next, but it is interesting that it like just lets you skip, and there's no benefit to skipping really, because you got to beat all of the levels like to get to the next stage. So I don't know why they do that. They should just have it be completely linear, but whatever. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I had some other information. There's like a fun Butterfinger ad, and like you can send in to get a t-shirt, but we don't need to talk about that.
Post them online. I think people would like to see those things.
Yeah. I will say, so let's just start off with section 1 or world 1, however you want to refer to it. What are both of your thoughts on that? We already talked about kind of like the teaching elements of it. Like, how did you feel about playing that first section?
I think the weirdest thing with like right off the bat for me, like, was like, it is immediately the lemming style is so strange because I feel like immediately you're set up to be like, these rats are your enemy. You're trying to murder them violently. And yet they look very happy. They're just kind of chilling. They're just kind of walking around. And it almost like, I don't know, I don't remember if you even have enemies in the first level or if that's later, but either way, by the time you start getting enemies, it's weird when it's like, you were walking through the sprites of the mice, but then if you walk into other things, then you get damaged. And that I find kind of confusing a little bit. And I mean, you can adapt to that. It's just like for me, immediately there felt like a weird disconnect between like the sort of mean-spirited violence that you're supposed to inflict towards the mice and like the cutesy little mice that are just following you around basically and not hurting anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know it's like a silly thing complaint to have, but that's just what it felt like. That's what made it felt different than like the Lemmings games, because you're not trying to kill the lemmings, so it makes sense that you're friendly with them. I don't know. It was just a weird thing to experience, I guess.
Yeah, and it's funny because immediately getting started with this, because I guess Lemmings has such a cultural hold on gaming, you see these creatures that are walking like fucking lemmings, and you're like, oh, I have to protect these things, because that's what video games have taught me to do, is that this is like an escort mission. And then to change your mind about killing them, then it becomes very apparent that everything that's a hazard is a hazard to you, but not a hazard to these. So nothing will kill them except for the exit point. And then that just becomes like a totally different way of looking at the game. I don't hate it, but I do agree with Derek. Like, that style doesn't work the right way.
Yeah, it's tough. It's also interesting too because there's snakes all throughout the first level, and it's like, why don't they just eat them? I mean, it's a game. It doesn't have to make sense, but it is just funny to think about.
But then in that case, like, why are we having Bart punch them? I know that the point of the game is to rid the mice, but like, maybe these are performing rats and Krusty's trying to round them all up for a big performance. And so you could put them in like a little hotel at the end. I don't know. It seemed a little discordant.
Yeah, the violence is really off-putting. It's especially funny because the manual has the like, we don't condone cruelty to animals, and I'm like, you didn't have to fucking like blow them up like a balloon or shoot them or eat them or run them through a cheese grater either. Like if this was an Itchy and Scratchy game, that would be one thing, but this is being treated like it's in like the real world, so that's what makes it kind of confusing. Like, if you wanted to be hyper violent with a Krusty game, make these like Itchy and Scratchy things or something. Right. I don't know. Like, there's a way you could have done that.
Yeah, have them all be Scratchies and have Itchy be at the destruction device.
Yeah, right.
Or the other way around. I don't remember which one's Itchy and which one's Scratchy.
I always have to look it up too. Itchy is the mouse, Scratchy is the cat, right?
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
I think
Cat's scratch. That makes sense.
I think it makes sense. Yeah.
I will say, I think I personally had a little bit more of a favorable view of kind of like the opening stage. And that's saying something because I played through it 3 different times because my save state didn't work for some reason. And so I had to do it again. And then second, I game overed and didn't know about the passwords.
Oh, no, Tommy.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah.
And then I learned that passwords existed and what they were showing me.
Fucking tell you that they're passwords. They're just random names of characters.
And not telling you things is sort of the aesthetic of this game, because even me, who played this a lot as a kid, I was looking at this block and being like, okay, I'm holding a PlayStation controller, so I've got the buttons mapped correctly for this game. What do I push to pick up this block? And I'm trying everything. I'm like, I'm on a SNES. I have a ton of buttons. But then I remembered, this game was made for the Amiga. So all I have is 4 directional buttons, an A and a B. Mm-hmm. And so that really informed my decision making. Like, we're not using the shoulder buttons. We're not using Y or X at all. Select, I think, is what you used to end the game and start back over. But yeah, this just wild. Me looking at this first box being like, I know what I need to do, pick up this box, and not remembering that I have to push the down arrow to pick something up.
It's not intuitive. That aspect of it I don't appreciate. I do like in gaming a show don't tell sort of like tutorial, which I do think this game does in a sense, because like that first level is just like, it's one puzzle, right? It's like you have to put one block down and then you have to go. It does something really interesting, I think, because it shows you there is a snake kind of off in the corner that you have to explore to find, but it shows you you pick up block, place block, and then get the mice to where they need to go, and then it shows you there's also other stuff to explore in the level. So like I think it does that kind of effectively, but not as effectively as it could. I think it could be a little bit more explicit, but if I play this game ever over again, I'm probably just playing stage 1 again, because once you get into stage 2 and 3, it's a little frustrating. Also, too, you learn about the posters that they put up in the game that reference Simpsons stuff. Did y'all have a favorite poster that you saw throughout? I have a couple of examples in here. You get like Krusty Flakes, Krusty Burgers, of course. You have a poster for the Leftorium.
I like Sideshow Bob having Springfield jail poetry readings. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, I like that also to explain why Bob wasn't there, but we get other denizens of Krusty's show showing up. I know also that by now Bob is in jail. I guess my favorite one is that there is a self-referential poster of the game art of the mice or the rats and Krusty that I remember looking at in one of the levels and being like, what the fuck? Why is this here?
It's so strange.
Yeah,
it's so good. I personally liked there's a picture of Scratchy and I guess Scratchy's son above. It's so wild.
Weird. It's so weird.
And then there's a hair and a drum ad as well.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, that's really funny. There's also a Krusty's cologne, but with cologne spelled with a K, of course. There's a lot. There's good. I mean, pretty much every Springfield business that was known like by season 3 is in there, like the Leftorium and Moe's and Bolorama. Mount Splashmore has an ad. Yeah, Otto's bus tours I thought was kind of funny.
Wild.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, they had a long list of references they packed in here. Like they didn't make up shit for this, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Jumping out of section 1 into section 2, this is where we get a little bit of like the frustration of the game, I would say, is where it kicks in for me. Like the first 2 levels in stage 2 I think are fine, but then it just it's a wall of like difficulty. So I think it's like stage 2-9 in particular. It's massive. It's this huge place. You have to escort one rat, but like there's all these different traps that will send it all the way back to the beginning, right? And I think we talked briefly about that. Also, just want to say it's very strange. The level like ends up looking like Batman or like Metroid. Like it's so weird.
It's so strange that like a lot of these, it's like I didn't write down what each of them were, but it'll be like you get like a factory setting, you get like an industrial setting, you get like futuristic setting, and like only like maybe 1 or 2 are like look like they're actually in a fun house. It's so bizarre.
Right. Yeah.
I will say 2-9 is when I started to get a little frustrated because you have to, it's not just that you have to guide the rat, you have to constantly think about how you're going to stop the rat from walking back to the beginning. So you have to build a 2-block barrier to make it turn around. Then you have to grab one of those blocks, run to the other side. And so this was about like precision in timing, not precision in mental strategy. And this 2-9 was the first time that really happened with the game, where it was about like player skill more than player thought.
Yeah, and I think that's where this game kind of falters a little bit for me, is like the timing component of it. I don't think you need that in this game. I think being able to just have more complex puzzles and trying to figure it out is effective. I don't think having to drop a block, pick up that block, run 2 spaces over, drop it again so that the mouse doesn't hit something that's going to reset it all the way back to the beginning is necessary. Also, too, that stage is just so freaking massive, and you have to go so far back just to circle all the way back around to where the mouse is. I think they need, if this game were to be remade, and I know that you talked about like how you would do this differently, David, a little bit, but like I wonder if like being able to just go back to where the mouse is like immediately would fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, which we can do today with save states. I mean, I think this game, outside of the folks who do these excellent Let's Plays, I think you need a mechanical knowledge of this game to be successful at it.
For sure. Not too much else to say about stage 2 unless y'all had anything to mention about it specifically.
This is the one where Sideshow Mel is this Sideshow Mel or is this Homer?
It's
Homer in stage 2. You're right. Because the first one is Bart with what is it? What does Bart use on the first level? I don't remember. A fist. That's right. Or you're punching like a punching glove to just punch them to death, I guess. And then Homer uses because I guess Homer's a nuclear technician, so he uses like a nuclear ray gun on them. In this level, I do think it's funny because he just seems to be just sitting there like staring blankly, but then he does give like a little tiny amused smile when he shoots the rats, which is violent as it is. It is cute to see him. It's sort of silly, but yeah.
I do like the little tiny shrunk down Simpson sprites. I like them.
Oh, they're very cute. Almost
cute.
like chibi.
Yeah.
Like chibi Simpsons in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked all 4 of them. I think they all looked great. I mean, I think it was a great version of Sideshow Mal. I think Corporal Punishment was also like well designed.
Yeah, except for one thing. But I will also say too, the enemies ramp up in stage 2. You get like a stationary like turret that shoots lasers, and then aliens that shoot lasers that take 2 hits to kill. I don't think this game needs enemies. Like I think it makes it
hard
so much
enough.
Yeah, so frustrating.
Well, and enough of the enemies hit you, and I guess it's a decision made in the game, or it was just bad programming. But I think it was a decision made in the game. When an enemy hits you, you'll often turn the other direction. So if you had just fired a projectile, it will not hit the enemy.
Yes,
leaving you vulnerable to a second hit. You also have no idea what Krusty's health is outside of some idle animation of him looking tired. And does that mean you have 1 hit left? Does that mean you can fall from a great distance and then instantly be dead? Kind of a weird choice not to show lives.
You should not have fall damage in this game. There is 0 reason to have fall damage in this game. It makes me so angry.
Yeah.
That there's fall damage in this game. I hate it.
It's absurd.
Yeah. And why? Because it takes extra work to program. So like you had to like add a variable to calculate like when would fall damage apply, and then build a sprite animation for fall damage, because then he like squats a little bit after his fall damage.
So weird. We did real quick mention that there are codes that can jump you from level to level. I don't know if anybody's interested in these, but like you have for level 2, and it's weird. They differ from the North American version from like the European version. Level 2 in North America is Bartman versus Skinner for EU. Smithers is for level 3 for the North American version versus Scratchy for the EU. Level 4, Snowball NA, Bart Dude for the European version. And then level 5 is Jebediah versus Bouvier for Europe.
The weirdest selections. I like, why Snowball and Bouvier and Jebediah? And Bart Dude? When the fuck has Bart Dude ever been said? Like,
Bart Dude
as one word.
Don't know.
That's wild.
So strange. I don't know what would give them the reason to need to do that, but they do.
And when you get the codes, you get this diabolical looking Krusty who's holding up a piece of paper that, as Derek mentioned, says award for excellence. Above it does read Krusty's clearance code.
I guess I never noticed that part.
I didn't either.
Because you're looking at award for excellence, because it's a more pleasing font or whatever. And then it says like Smithers or Bartman, and you're like, good job, Smithers. Like Smithers
when
isn't
was
here.
Smithers in
Yeah,
this?
he didn't fucking do shit. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I also kind of wonder, is Krusty here? Then take care. Well, I guess he is, because that's who we're controlling. But like, I don't know. It was just such a weird. And I just, again, if you have not seen this image, it is off-putting to me. His eyes aren't going in the right direction.
It's so weird. I will share it out. We jump to stage section 3. and we get like little bouncy doodads introduced. I like this mechanic. I like jumping in video games, although in a puzzle game you don't really need. I mean, a puzzle platformer you need to jump, but whatever. Sideshow Mel operates the death traps in this section, and he literally blows them up.
It's like
balloon,
inflation. Like, I guess if you're an inflation fetish person, you're gonna love it. But like, it just fucking inflates the rats and they blow up, and it's like with his mouth too, like blowing into it. It's just so fucked up. Like everything about it is so fucked.
I did assume it's because all that they knew about Sideshow Mel is that he had a slide whistle.
Slide whistle, yeah.
And so he was
sense still.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, the more bizarre one is next, but yeah, I think there were probably some fetish people who were introduced to the concept from this game. That's fine.
Sure. Yeah, maybe. Pigs also fly in this stage for some reason.
Weird choice. And I was like, there is a pig who flies later in The Simpsons, but not for like 4 more years. So like, it's so strange.
So strange. What did y'all think of the backgrounds and like the look of these levels in this one?
Level 3 was where I stopped playing and chose to move to a long play. I made it through everything but the last level, and level 3 was hard for me to watch because it was a little too garish. I mean, I could always tell where platforms were, which I guess is good. And that beats out level 2, where sometimes you can jump up through pipes, but you can't go down through them. So it's like a one-way thing. But at least it's pretty. I mean, because we're about to enter like Drab Town. So it was nice to look at. It was very, very bright.
Yeah. It actually looks like a fun house.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that's fair.
It feels more like a fun house that stage does, but I agree with you. There's a lot going on. Lots of patterns, lots of different designs. It does feel very like clownish, but yeah, it's hard in a game.
I this is going to sound so over dramatic, but like this game kind of gave me nightmares, not because it was like scary or whatever, but I think because I was watching it literally on my laptop, watching the long play of it, like in my bed right before I went to sleep. And I didn't even, I think I got about halfway through and I got through this world that was very like loud and garish and has a lot of imagery. And I'm so tired now because I feel like I didn't sleep last night because I feel like all I was doing was dreaming about this game and like shit from it and stuff. And I think part of that is the repetitive nature of it. I don't think this is a very good game to watch a long play of because it's just solving puzzles. And I think for like 3 hours, like it's just, and it's very, I think it kind of fucks your brain up a little bit. I think between that and like the extreme imagery, I think stimulated my brain way too much. So then when I fell asleep, I wasn't actually fully asleep and my brain was just firing like crazy. So that's my gripe with this level is I feel like it actually did physical harm to me.
I'm having a remembrance of Bart as like a 2-year-old saying, "Can't sleep, clown will eat me. Can't sleep, clown will eat me."
Truly.
Oh goodness. That's I mean, I can see that.
And credit to the long players because they are excellent gamers. But Derek's right. Like once they solve the puzzle, you're kind of like, oh, I get it. Oh, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's so clever. But then it's the repetition. They have to keep doing something.
Yeah.
And once you're kind of like, oh, I get it. You don't need to watch them get it again because now they're just routining it over. It's kind of like numbing.
Yeah.
Not only that, but like you can't speed up the speed of the mice. Like there's certain times when it's like it is soul crushing to like have them walk as slow as they do and have like as many of them as there are. I saw that people talk about like there's like you need to try to use methods to like group them all together and stuff like that to make it like easier. But yeah, the slowness, like once you have like a pattern or whatever and you're ready to like get them where they need to go, like it is grueling some of the times. And it gets even worse in the next sections. So let's jump to that. So this is section 4. The mice murderer here is corporal punishment, and like, what the fuck, guys?
So first of all, I had forgotten the corporal punishment was even like a joke from the show. Like once it clicked with me, I was like, oh yeah, I do remember this guy vaguely, but like it's kind of a, it's not like the deepest of cuts, but like it's kind of a deeper cut.
Yeah.
And like actually, you know what? I think his first episode was Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, which was, what season was? No, okay, never mind. That was season 2. For some reason, I was thinking that was later. Never mind. So that totally checks out. But like, so I was like, oh yeah, I remember that like one joke character that's like became a background player now. First of all, when they first said the corporal punishment at the beginning of the game, I thought that was a funny joke. Like, oh, my friends Bart, Homer, Mel, and corporal punishment. And I'm like, that's kind of funny that they're just like recognizing like that they're going to punish the mice. And then I was like, oh shit. It's literally a character named Corporal Punishment that I forgot about. But yeah, then you see him and he's holding a gun and like a fucking giant, like some giant like military looking thing that you think is going to crush the mice. So either he's going to shoot them or crush them. He's a military guy. Like, okay, like weird. It's like weird that that this deeper cut character is here, but fine. I guess they were looking for characters in Krusty's orbit, and he'll shoot him. Sure. So the fact that he just eats the mice alive, everything, I feel like your brain kind of breaks with all of those factors.
Yeah.
You don't expect this guy to be there. You have to kind of think about to remember who he is. You see him as a military guy. Perfect. And maybe that's the joke. Maybe the joke is that like, you think he's going to shoot these mice? Nope. He's going to eat them. Like maybe that's the joke.
Well, I'll tell you,
still
I
fucking weird.
Completely forgot about this, and I laughed when it happened. So I guess it was a joke because I wasn't expecting it, and it did tickle me. I did not like the animation. I found it unsettling. The picture Tommy has put in the notes is double unsettling because there is a big smiling Krusty just watching
standing back
it
there.
happen.
Just like, yeah. Eat it.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
He's like the lady from V, like when she eats the fucking mouse. Like it's so creepy.
So we have inflation, Vor.
Hey,
yeah.
Is this game just like for fetish?
Electrostim, fisting. Let's get them all. Like this is great. I think
edging.
Oh my god,
so much edging.
So much edging.
It all comes back to edging. Oh my god. Oof. Anyway. Yeah. The next element in the game that's introduced in the stage is that you can put mice into jars. They just like walk, you put them down, and instead of a block where they would like walk over them, they get trapped, and then you can move them. You can use them as blocks, and other mice will walk on top of them so they can act as your like bridge building pieces. But then once you have them in there, you can kick it, they'll come out, and you can deliver them straight to corporal punishment. I think this is a neat mechanic, but god damn, is it not just like so tedious in some spots? You have to do so much to get like, you have to pick up one block, put it down, get the mouse in it, take it all the way back up to corporal punishment. And if you screw it up, which you can, you end up getting like messed up, like and screwed over. Like,
so this was the part that I remembered the most from my childhood, because I would then use the code to get to level 4 because I'd already gotten there. And when you fuck up once, it's like you're donezo, and it is precision. So I bought graph paper from a supply store, drew out a rough sketch of the level so I could plan what I was going to do. And I would think about it like all week long until I could rent the game again. And that it's like a sickness, truly and honestly. But watching the long player do this was, I mean, they were doing things that I probably never thought of. And I even remember having to like go get a Nintendo Power because there were like hidden fucking shit and there was no way to know that it was there.
Yeah.
This part of the long play was the weirdest part to watch because I just was like, how would you ever know that there's a hidden platform?
How did you know that?
How would you ever know that there's a hidden platform there?
There's an invisible platform
around.
And you can go through the wall. Like what?
There's like multiple ones.
Yes.
And even just the fact that like you can move the boxes to like just float. You know what I mean? Like you can just put boxes up. Like I know that's throughout the game, but like that's a weird thing. Like, cause that whenever I'd see them do that, I'm just like, how, it just doesn't make sense in my brain that the box is basically floating there. That plus the invisible platforms. It's like, what are the rules of this reality? Like, nothing makes sense here.
Right. So weird. So weird. I know we're flying through all of these sections, but anything else on section 4?
No, but again, the difficulty just continues to ramp up, and it almost feels artificial. The new enemy that's created here is this bird that takes like 4 or 5 pies to knock down, and
it's like shits on you, right? Like, isn't he just pooping the whole time?
I guess I interpreted them as eggs, but yeah, maybe it's poop.
I guess it could be either.
It's a white blob, so like your imagination was king. And I just, again, like, I know I played this as a kid, I know I beat this game as a kid, but it is wild watching this now that anyone gets this far, because we are long gone from the fun first level where you're like, hey, here's a concept, isn't it fun to like have a concept? And now it's like, I hate you and I want you to suffer, and here are the tools of your suffering.
Too long.
Go and enjoy.
Game's too long.
It's way too long.
It does not, again, take the enemies out. You do not need enemies in this game, and fall damage. But totally agree with that. Section 5, we're almost done. You get outside and snow and some really nice stuff to look at. I think that the sections are fine, like the levels are fine. They're still really confusing and long, and like there's a lot of stuff that like you might not have been introduced to that you are being introduced to here, and like it makes it way more difficult. But yeah. And then Bart is back, and he's using a tool to smush the mice like Play-Doh.
Yeah, it's kind of like a grater, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think you're underselling it by saying swish them like Play-Doh. I think people didn't know. It's like running them through a cheese grater, and there's like multiple pieces of them, like, you know, fly out of the top of it. Like, it is like if you put Play-Doh through a cheese grater. I do think that that's the exact right way to envision it, except, you know, with living mice who are dying in fear, in pain. So
it's so gross.
It's weird. Again, if it was just Itchy and Scratchy doing it, and they like actually even heightened the violence, like made blood spew everywhere, like then it would be like comically violent. It's just like a weird middle ground in this game that otherwise doesn't have that kind of violence, except in the moments when the rats die, after you spent all this time trying to get them to move, and then it's like, oh, I caused that horrible violence to be inflicted upon them, and out of nowhere it feels like.
It's weird.
It also, you know, you have got 5 main levels. You have 5 members of the Simpsons family. It does feel like that lined up nicely, but maybe you were like, I don't want Marge to be, but I would have Marge suck a rat into her vacuum. That is probably the least violent way any of these rats would have seen their end.
Yeah. That make total sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't do that.
Lisa plays her sax and has them like dance into a box or something.
There you go.
Or like scurry off. Yeah, they just like run away.
Yeah.
There's so many different other ways they could have gone about this and not need to bring in corporal punishment for some strange reason.
Fucking weird, Paul.
Yeah,
weird.
You've got a great capture though in one of these levels of the rats going through the blowers though, and I do think probably the blowers was the most fun element of the game, which is where you can you send them one direction until they hit a barrier or they hit another blower, and you sort of create these pathways for them, and I liked that.
Yeah. I did like that. I didn't really master that element. I was not very good at it. The times when I did use it, and I'll just be upfront, I ended up quitting after around the same time you mentioned, David, and just watching a long play of it, because I was like, I don't think I have it in me. It is a very long game. People need to understand this is a long game.
Yeah. Like the 3-hour long play is when you play it perfectly.
Perfect.
100% don't die or get any damage whatsoever. And that's like kind of impossible except for, the people who do that professionally.
Yeah. Yep. And then once you complete section 5, you get a splash screen that says, "Congratulations." And it says, hey, thanks for helping me rid my funhouse of all these pesky rats and making Krusty Land safe again. I'm off to the TV studio to make another great show. And it's Krusty in a weird pink convertible.
Right. Wow, that's all. Yeah, that was, wait, hold on. I had more text on mine.
Really?
Because it said because he also adds the and I have to get rat bites tended to.
Oh yeah, it does continue on to the next screen. Okay. You're right. I forgot to grab that.
Oh,
part.
Okay. I was like, what did I see? Or did I dream that?
You might have in your fever dream.
In my fever dream about this game. Yeah.
Right before you get this though, I want to point something out that at the end of the last level, when you clear the last door in stage 5, you get the Krusty's Clearance Code Award for Excellence. But instead of giving you a name, it says return to the front door because there was nothing else built to give the player instructions. So they reused this clearance code thing.
It's so wild. And also, like, why do you have to go through that? Like, why? What's the point? Why do you have to go all the way back to the first door?
Yeah. Why does it just take you to the end of the game because you finished the game? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Very odd. A theme I've noticed is that in like a lot of early games, like, it's hard to have a quote gratifying ending with games like this because it's like, what do you do? Like the game just ends and like starts over, but like making you go all the way back to the beginning is just like unnecessary and strange.
Feels mean.
Yeah, we kind of flew through the last couple of sections, but I mean, there's just a lot of puzzles. It's a game where you have to kind of experience it, play it to experience it. But overall, what do you guys think of this? What did you guys think? I mean, we've kind of talked a lot about it. It sounds like not your favorite, but some stuff that you did like. Is that fair to say?
I think it's an incredible game to look at if you're thinking about how games are designed to train players to play your game. I think a lot of the things it does in the first level of each of the worlds really does set you up for success with the things. I think the problem becomes that they just overcomplicate the use of those tools to I mean, some of the stages some of the worlds being so long, it almost gets to an nth degree that it's uncomfortable to play. And I think that's why I think we're all left with sort of a bad taste in our mouth towards the end of this.
Yeah. I think if the game was just shorter and like slightly, like, I don't even want to say easier because I know that people come to a puzzle game for a challenge in a lot of cases. But if it was going to be hard and ramp up how hard it was, then it needed to be shorter, or they needed to at least make something a little bit more rewarding. Like I think the amount of times you do have to go back to your wooden doors or whatever, like that kind of adds up to the frustration. I think simple tweaks of just like, once all the rats have been collected, you're done with the level, move on to the next level rather than, having to wait or whatever. I think simple things like that, I think they could have tightened up how that game worked, and I think it would have made it a lot better, because I do think, like, compared to a lot of pretty much all the other games that we played outside of the arcade game, like, this is kind of among the best of those, I think, which is the lowest of low bars. But I do think that says a lot for, like, I think this game looks really pretty, and like the idea of doing a puzzle game isn't a bad idea if you're doing a Simpsons game. I think it makes a little more sense, honestly, than like some of the platforming action stuff they've tried to do. And like, so there is a lot, and like Lemmings is a archetypal kind of game for a reason. So I think all of those aspects make sense, and it could have been a perfectly solid game. And as it stands, it's just like, it has decent elements, but it is a little bit too frustrating for its own good.
Agreed. 100% agreed. I will ask the question, what do you think of this as a Simpsons game?
I definitely played it because it was a Simpsons game. I don't know that I would have picked up Rat Trap if I saw it at Movies. I picked this up because Bart was on it, and I had finished Bart's Nightmare, and so I was going to the other things that were available. So I actually went backwards on this one. Not as good as Bart's Nightmare, in my opinion. Way better than some of the other things that I played. I would put this below Camp Deadly in my own rating of Simpsons games.
Dang. Yeah, I think in terms of it being Simpsons-y, I appreciate that, even with this kind of being a reskinning of another game, they took advantage of packing as many references as they could, even though very few other characters outside of Krusty appear. They tried to show off Springfield in their advertisements and posters, which I think was a smart idea of just being like, look, we can't do more than this, but at least we will do a lot of this. There are a lot of ads and a lot of Simpsons references. So, and I mean, it's kind of bare minimum, but like that's more than what other games have done with Simpsons.
For sure.
Stuff, so,
yeah. I think my take is mid-tier Simpsons, mid-tier game. Like,
I think it's fair. Yeah.
I think, but I think it's a better game than it is a Simpsons game. If anybody is interested in playing this, I would say get through stage 2 and honestly stop. Like, you don't need to get through the rest of it.
Yeah. You don't get nothing satisfying beyond
and you'll have a good time. I think if you do that you do get a little bit of frustration towards the end of stage 2. But I think if you like puzzle games like this, then just play the whole damn thing. But if you want to experience it, I think you'll have fun getting through stage 2 and like just leave it at that.
I just have different advice. If you love puzzle games and this conversation was fun for you, play Lost Vikings or Lost Vikings 2 for the SNES, which are much better versions of this 2D puzzle game. And you get to play as like big chubby Viking dudes.
Hell yeah. I have never played Lost Vikings, but I've heard tons of great things about it. So maybe that'll be next on my list. I did also want to know one thing. I didn't even mention this. You do get Krusty's voice in this game, and it is Dan Castellaneta. But when he takes damage, it is not.
Oh my God, no! What does he say? Like, oh, or
he's like,
but like not that. Honestly, our impressions just now sound more like the real Krusty the Clown than the game does. To be honest.
I'll be feeling that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's oh my God. Anyway, that's a good note to end on. David, we cannot thank you enough for being here, being our first guest on the pod. If folks want to listen to all the great stuff you are working on, where can they find it all and where can they find you?
Well, as you mentioned at the top, I do a couple podcasts, one with Derek where we talk about high concept, weird, and experimental TV called Gimmicks. I host a podcast called Are You My Mother that you've both been guests on, and we're launching up the Fear Coded podcast. You can find all of those at glitterjaw.com, but if you want more of me directly and untapped, it's DMuma on most social media sites, DMuma22 on Twitter. And yeah, I would love to hear from folks. If you had an experience with this game that matched mine, please let me know.
Heck yes. Love that. Thank you again. Of course, if you want to keep playing along with us, next month, Bart is back, baby. We're playing Bart versus the Juggernauts, a game that seeks to ask the question, can there be a more 90s game than one that references American Gladiators and bad boy Bart Simpson? And I think the answer is probably no.
Wow.
If our ideas are intriguing to you and you wish to subscribe to our newsletter, be sure to follow us on Instagram. We are at Simpsons Gaming Pod. You can also email us questions, corrections, or just Simpsons quotes you really like at simpsonsgaming@gmail.com. This podcast is a proud member of the Glitterjaw Podcast Collective. If you are looking for other queer media podcasts, you can check out the full roster of Glitterjaw shows at glitterjaw.com. And speaking of Glitterjaw, this year, Glitterjaw is sponsoring the Podcast Awards. In just a few days from this episode's release, you'll be able to nominate Glitterjaw Collective show The Mixed Reviews for consideration in the film and TV category. If you're unfamiliar, the Mixed Review podcast takes one actor, director, or subgenre, and then for a month, host Louie and Gavin watch as many films as they can so that they can come together to bring you a detailed history and highlight of the topic. So if it's July when you're listening to this episode, which it likely is, head over to podcastawards.com and nominate the Mixed Reviews.
Yes, very good show, very deserving of an award, so please do that.
Heck yes. Derek, where can folks find you and all the great shows that you are working on?
Sure, you can find me most places at Derek B. Gale. David already mentioned Gimmicks, but I have other shows that I do as well. I have Walloping Websnappers, which I do with Doug. That is a Spider-Man podcast where we do deep dives into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made. And also with Doug, I do Skreeonk, which is a Godzilla movie marathon where we are stomping through Godzilla's filmography. What about you, Tommy?
Heck yes. As for me, I am at Awkward Comma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can check out my other show, Distant Echoes, a Star Wars podcast, where my partner Cass and I watch each episode of every Star Wars TV series in whatever order we please. You can find that show as well as all of everything that we just mentioned, Derek and David shows, over at glitterjaw.com. Of course, our incredible theme music was recorded by the band whose name you'd love to touch, but you mustn't touch. That's right, it's Max Power. Shout out those dudes for kicking ass. Go check them out on Instagram and Facebook at The Real Max Power Band to catch one of their live shows. And remember, as always, tell your parents to listen to Lee Carvallo's Potting Challenge.
Or swallow some rats whole and send them to hell.
No.
I have to go.
No, that's the worst one. That's the worst one you could have picked.
Hey, that's why I picked it. I think you should go to hell, and the people who made that decision.
All right, goodbye and go to hell, everyone. Save me, Moby Games.